Of course, we're going to need some pipe cleaners, 9 to be exact. We're going to need some different ribbons, so you can use Dollar Tree ribbon, whatever you got. I'm going to use the remainder of this 10-inch roll of mesh. I have some ornaments that I thrifted and an 18-inch wreath form. I'm also going to be using 1 roll of burlap that is blue from Walmart. Okay, so now we need to prep this wreath form. We're going to take our chenille stems or pipe cleaners. We're going to go on the inside and then the outside. I'm crossing over 2 of them, okay? Not just 1, but 2. It's going to make it a little bit more stable because we're going to be putting several layers on here. So now we're back to the outside, and we're just doing this right here where those little crossover sections are. So inside, outside, inside, outside, and continue around till you're back to the beginning. We're going to take the deco mesh, squish this up in our fingers, and this is going to be our little starting point. I'm grabbing it tightly. I'm going to choose a place to put it. Generally, putting it on the inside is a good idea to kind of hide it, but you can put it wherever you like and twist it down tightly. Then we'll go to the next section. We're going to have 12-inch poofs here, so I'm going to measure down. If you use a 5-inch deco mesh, your wreath is going to be very spindly looking because it's a large wreath. So if you're using a larger wreath, it's a pretty good idea to use a wider deco mesh, okay? And I know not everybody is a fan of deco mesh, so y'all just stay with me though, because this is going to be worth it. We're really just kind of using this deco mesh as a stabilizer, right? To put everything else on. So it's not going to be center stage. All right? Go down 12 and then go to the outside. So we're going inside, outside, just following the pattern that's already on there that we created with the chenille stems. We're going to go all the way around the wreath. Once you get back to that starting spot, we're going to take another 12-inch poof, place it down right over the top of where we started, and wrap it tightly. Now don't cut it off yet because we're going to go around one more time. Okay, so you're going to pull it to the inside or the outside, depending on which way you are. You're going to go the opposite of where you already were. I'm going to do the 12 inches again, and you're going to be going back and forth and back and forth, and it's going to create a little poof to the left and a little poof to the right. Pulling it out there, squeezing it up in the middle, and wrapping it down so you can see back and forth, and we'll do this back and forth motion all the way down. If you lose track of where you're at, you can pretty much tell where the poof is, and you want to put it on the opposite side so that there's a bubble that goes all the way across your wire wreath frame. Does that make sense to you? You see what I'm talking about, right? Back to the beginning, I'm going to cut it off, and actually that was the end of my roll, and I just put it down on top. Now we have all the deco mesh we need to fuss with. All the edges are tucked under, so there shouldn't be too much of an issue of snagging whatsoever. And now we're going to be putting this burlap on it. The burlap's going to give us a little buffer between the deco mesh, which has a tendency to kind of snag, and the ribbons that we're going to put down. So we'll just start wherever you like. You can go back to the original starting place, or you can start wherever you want to on your wreath because it's going to be covered up. You're not going to see it. Now we're going to take that and sit it right on top of the bubble. So you're going to set it on the bubble, and you can see here it's about 10 inches. You want it to sit on the bubble because the deco mesh is going to support the burlap. If you make it too big, it's going to sag. I don't want mine to sag. I want it to run right down the center, be nice and pretty. So I'm not going to do that. 10 inches. See? Turn your thing straight though. Got to get that ruler straight. Pinch it up. And then go to the next one. So it's going to be sort of, you're following the same pattern. So in and out, in and out, in and out. But essentially I'm settling mine right over the top. Now you can move it back and forth once you get to the end of it and you're done with all of your little poofs of your burlap, you can go back and forth with it and move that burlap to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right, so that it's kind of looks like it's kind of weaving through there. Totally up to you how you want to do it. But I like to sit mine right on top. Now we're going to go all the way around. You're going to go back to the beginning point, just like we did the deco mesh. We're going to go right into that section. When you do a wreath that's got this many layers on it, you want to be sure you use a full size pipe cleaner, meaning don't cut those down trying to save money. It's not worth it. You will not have enough room left to put all the layers on it. Okay, so just take my word for it. All right, so I'm just cutting it off, and I just did a little dovetail. That it makes no sense. Whichever way you want to do it, you can cut it off straight. You won't be seeing those little sections that are the ends anyway, as we try to tuck those under. Now I'm just fluffing out the poofs, and I'm settling that burlap right on the top of it. Trying to see what we have going on here, how we like it. And I prefer the blue anyway. I love the way that blue looks, and it goes right down the middle. So now you're going to grab up whatever ribbon you have. This is from Dollar Tree. I've had it since last year, but they do have it again this year from what I've seen at my stores. And I'm going to cut these into 12-inch pieces. And then I'm going to take this one that I have thrifted. I'm going to put it down and do 12-inch pieces. This one from Dollar Tree. I like the mixing of the patterns for this. Now we can start putting them down. I've already done the dovetail. Y'all have seen me do that before. And now we're just going to start putting our little stacks of 3 together. I do this very often when I make wreaths. I love the look of it. It's so festive to me and colorful, and you can add a variety of patterns and color, and it really makes your wreath pop. And that's the idea when you have a wreath on your door, right? You want it to grab attention. You want to see that and make you smile every time you come in the door. You want your guests to see it and, put a smile on their face as well. So let's give it some personality by giving it some different textures and patterns. That's why we're mixing the burlap here. We're mixing the stripes with the sort of a checkered look, and then the stars. All right, so I did not have enough of my striped star ribbon. So what I decided to do is take part of the ribbon and to cut it into sections so that half of the wreath would have stars and the other half would just have a stripe and a plaid. So just follow the pattern here. So the original has 3. The second space has 2. The next will have 3. That's what you see in my hand right now. I make an X, put one down the middle, and just squish them up in the center. Hold them in my hand. Push it down into the space between the bubbles, and then wrap that chenille stem tightly around it a few times. Then you can kind of fluff it out, or you can wait to do the fluffing once you get to the end. It is totally up to you. I love to fluff, so I am constantly fooling with my ribbons and my bows. So we did 3, and now we're back to 2. Do you see what we're doing here? Now, you are welcome if you have enough of your ribbon, because my roll was not a new roll. I used some of it last year. So you are welcome to go all the way around with 3s if you would like, but you can do it with 2s. You can make it work, right? So I'm showing you the layout of the pattern. Once you get all of those on there, you're going to grab whatever ornament, ball, whatever you want to put on yours. You can even do flowers if you wanted to. But these are like a paper mache, and they're so nice. Y'all, I found these at the thrift store with some other sort of patriotic decor stuff, and I think that's where I got that mesh from as well. Like somebody had a Christmas tree, possibly, like a tree that they decorated. And I got a lot of stuff from it. So yeah, I was very excited to find those. I love the look of it. So I'm going to put another one in there. When y'all were kids, did y'all play with those little smoke bombs? Do you know they still make those things? My kids enjoy them too. They smell terrible, but they really are sort of mesmerizing, all the different color smokes that come out of them. They're really nice. And I don't think the mosquitoes are a big fan of them either, so that's a plus. You're going to go all the way around. And I'm loving this, but this wreath just like it is. We're not even going to put a bow on here. This is exactly perfect the way it is, in my opinion, because I made it my own. And you are so encouraged to make yours your own. You want to add a bow, you can do that. You want to add a sign in the middle, you can certainly do that too. And we don't need a hanger because it's a wire wreath form. We can just hang it right off of the form itself. So I hope you like this first one and you really want to stay till the end. If you enjoy this kind of content, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up. All right, we're going to have one pipe cleaner, some antiquing wax, brush, sponge, whatever, some wire jute, Dollar Tree of course, a little scrap of corkboard, ribbons. I'm going to get a variety of ribbons. So I have a little checkered and one with a stripe that's kind of burlap looking. We're just going to mix our patterns up again. Look at this beautiful sign from Dollar Tree. Look how adorable this sign is. This really inspired me to do this. This is one of the easiest things you can do if you are a beginner crafter. But if you are not, still do this anyway because it makes a big impact for a very little amount of money. So I'm switching over to a sponge brush and I'm going to go over the entire edge of this and on the inside of each of the open areas in the font. And then you can just wipe off if you get any smeared onto the front, just wipe it off with your finger. Or you can use a towel, whichever way you want to do it. In the tight spots, I'll be using a brush. So you don't have to do this part. If you want to leave this out, you can, but in my opinion, it does kind of give it more of a high-end look, more finished looking, instead of seeing that kind of papery stuff on there. So once it's done, I'm just going to kind of dry it. You can see that it really does make it pop. It does make a subtle difference. But like I said, you know, do it your own way. Just giving it a quick dry. You can see on the back that I had actually flipped it over and worked a little bit from the back side to get in those spaces I couldn't access from the front. And then we're going to make a hanger for it. So this is a wire jute. I like this. This jute is something that I'm sort of mixing into sort of make it a little more rustic, all of this decor. So that is what I'm going to add into my project. You can use a ribbon. You can go back into the same holes if you would like, but I'm going to make a bigger area because we're going to add a bow to the top of this, a beautiful bow. So we need a little more room to work, right? So it doesn't cover up the sign. I'll cut a couple of pieces of this cork paper off. And that's going to be sort of like our little band-aid for the back when we put the glue on. Now just folding it in half so I know where my center is. I'm going to try to make sure that it is slightly balanced. I'll be adding some hot glue and putting this close to the side here and then covering up with a little bit of this sticker. Yes, there is adhesive on the back, but I want to make sure that nothing falls off. It's very windy where I live and I don't want, I don't want anything falling off. My decor goes on a covered porch, so I can't say that you can use these types of things all the time outside, but certainly everything I'm making today can be put on a covered porch. Now we have our hanger, which is secured, and we can start on the beautiful bow. I'm showing you a variety of ribbons here and a variety of texture. The two on the bottom are wired ribbon. The one that blue in there is just sort of a regular gift wrapping ribbon, and the one on top is not wired at all, and it's from Dollar Tree. I'll grab my bow maker. I'll link that video for you, so if you don't have a bow maker and you'd like to make something similar to that, you can. This is just, this is just my way of helping myself out. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't, but for these bigger bows, they are very helpful. So I'm just going to see how large I would like my bow loops to be, and I'm going to do 6-inch loops. And make sure that you put the pretty side of your ribbon up. So flipping it in the center and flipping it over will make sure that you keep that lovely pattern on the top. And there's a stripe in the middle on both sides, but it's where the stitching is that I'm looking at, okay? So I have 10-inch tail, and I'm going to make this tail about 10 inches too. Cut it off. And then we'll start with the next color. I'm going to put this plaid on top. Now when I'm making bows, I prefer, if I'm using sort of mixed textures and some of the bows don't have wire, I like to make sure that the wired ribbons are on the underneath because they can help give support to the floppier ribbons so that they have a little more body and that they'll stand up and behave a little better for you. Okay? Same thing here, same measurements on this. Now you're going to see me do the same thing with blue and with the red and white because I want to show you something about this. Lessons learned, right? I knew this, but I thought, no, this is a good teaching moment. So here we go with the blue. You can see that it's that, what do you call it? Like a taffeta or papery type texture, you know, that you would use for gift wraps. That sort of thing. It's not like a real true fabric. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this on, and I'm going to do it the same measurement. Pushing it in, both the sides look exactly the same. I'm going to cut the tails off exactly the same. And then we're going to do that with this unwired little ribbon that came from Dollar Tree. I'm twisting it to make sure I keep my pretty pattern on top. It really doesn't want to stay because it's such a thin ribbon. But we're going to make it work because I have a point here to get to. Then we'll cut the tail off the same length. I'm going to just grab that bow. You see how thick this bow is with all those layers on it? I'm squishing, 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 and pinching, and I'm going to pull that off. I'm going to not let go of it, and then I'll use my finger to hold part of that pipe cleaner down on the front, and I'll wrap it to the back. Pull it tightly next to the bow, and then twist the bow. Okay? Now, nothing's coming apart. Now let's take a look at this. Look at the wired ribbon and how it holds its form under there. You see how it holds its shape? I'm going to mix my textures a little bit and alternate which color loop goes on top and which goes on bottom. I'm looking at that blue one. Going to get one on that side, one on this side. It does okay holding its shape. Not perfect, but okay. Kind of problematic. But this one, you can see here, this is a problem. So because I didn't use a zip tie, I still have the ability to move this around a little bit. By pulling on the opposite tail from the loop, you can adjust the loops. And I'm going to cut the tails. Cutting the tails is going to make these a little more floppy, a little more movable, let's put it that way. Floppy in a good way, not the bad way. Now I'm going to trim off that thin, and then we're going to attach it to my wired jute. Now at first I thought, okay, well let's put it on the side. That'll be cute, right? You can do that, but the weight of the bow might make it hang crooked. So I'm just going to attach it, and then you'll see me move it up into the center. You can cut off that excess right there and push those little ends inward so they don't scratch your wall or your door, wherever you want to hang this. Okay, I'm going to pull it out, look at it, and yeah, that's just not going to work. So I'm going to slide it over into the center. And then start working with these tails. Now, you can dovetail the ends or cut your ends at a slant like the thinner ribbon if you would like to, but I'm not even going to finish the ends because there are other things we can do with the tails. I want to show y'all what else you can do. Now you see how that ribbon's trying to curl there? You can actually take a good quality ribbon and curl it with your hands. You can twist it like this with your hands and make little curls. But if you don't trust that, or you can't deal with that, then you can get a something else to use to help you curl it. So this is our curling iron, right? We're going to twist this around and make a ringlet. We're just using this like you would a curling iron, right? On your hair. And we're making a little ringlet. And we're going to do this wherever you want to on the wreath. To me, this looks like a firecracker spinning up into the air. And I'll do the same thing with any of the wired ribbon will hold its form, but it's not going to work on the blue, and it's not going to work on that thin gingham. Look how cute. Okay, I like that, but you do yours the way you want to. It's all about making something unique, making it your own, and not spending a fortune, right? So now I'm just going to trim off. I'm looking at the bow after I have it fluffed, and I want to make these a little bit shorter because I like the idea of them kind of standing out. See, I think that looks good on the top. All the tails do not have to be the same length. This is a party in a bow, y'all. I'm still fiddling around with that bow. You can use a little bit of hot glue to hold things in place if things don't look like you want it to look, right? You can use a little hot glue. Just don't go crazy with it because you don't want everybody to see that you had to do that. And then you can trim up the tails on that if you want. You can leave it like that, whatever you like. So yeah, I bought a sign for $1.25 from Dollar Tree, and I used ribbon I already had in my home. How about that? This is easy. If you're a beginner here and you haven't crafted yet, what are you waiting for? Let me know if you're visiting today and you're a new crafter and it's time to get started crafting, because I'm going to motivate you on this channel. I have a roll of pom-poms here. This came from Dollar Tree at Christmas. I've had it a while. This is a Temu applique or decal. And we're going to recycle one of these little MDF faux wood rounds from Dollar Tree. But you can do this on a regular wood round. This is just going to show you how you can do it here if you don't have one. So this little piece from Temu, actually, I think it cost like $1.59, maybe. Maybe. You can use any decals that you get from Dollar Tree. You can use window stickers. You can make something on your Cricut or your silhouette, whatever you want to do. I painted this white with chalk paint. I let it dry thoroughly. And then I'm just going to go over here with my decal and put it on. I'm just going to kind of angle it over the top and then slowly let it drop from the top down to the center a little bit. And you can see here that you can move it around a little bit if you need to before you put your squeegee on it and really flatten it out. I'm going to slowly let it down as I press any air, bubbles, tracks, anything that might be in there. So we have a nice smooth finish. Then I'll take my Mod Podge squeegee. Now the difference between this and my other squeegees is it is more pliable. It's more like a rubbery type texture. And I like that. I like that. It feels good in my hand too. So yeah, I enjoyed this one. And now I'll just work out any little bubbles or wrinkles or whatever I might have in there. You can also use your fingers to feel over the top to see if there are any areas that need to be worked on a little bit more and press those down. You can seal this with an outdoor Mod Podge if you would like. I am not going to seal mine just for time's sake. We're going to add the pom-pom ribbon or trim right on to the back around the edge just to give it something extra. Protect those fingers, ladies and gents. Choose your starting point wherever you would like. Add down a little row of hot glue, and then the little strip that goes underneath the pom-poms or above the pom-poms, depending on your perspective, is going to be the area that we glue down on the back of the board. And I'm keeping that trim lined up. This is made in a little rick-rack sort of style, so it curves easily to the back of a round surface. We're going to continue all the way around till we get back to the starting point. And one of those things I love is when things line up perfectly. And look at that. We didn't even have to skip one or fake it or anything. Nice. Now to sort of iron those out so they're not flopping straight to the back, you can add a little bit of heat from your heat tool, your blow dryer, whatever you have. Thank y'all so much for coming by today and checking out what's going on my channel. Your support means so much, and I'm going to do my best always to encourage you and support you on your crafting journey. Okay, so now we've made a very simple hanger, added a little hot glue and paper on the back just to keep it in place. We can start working on some type of a bow for the top. Now I'm going to use this plaid ribbon here. I'm going to cut it off. You can see my little measurement. What did I do there? Like 6 inches, 5 or 6 inches. I'm going to cut a couple of those. The scraps that I had left, my incomplete scraps from that star ribbon, and then some of that plaid ribbon. I'm going to make an X pattern. Same thing here. Left, right, left, right. Then I'm going to add that one on top, another one across it, the smaller one right on top, just like that. And so it looks like an X, right? Now I'm going to sort of bunch it because that's a lot of ribbon for my little hands. And I'm going to grab it in the center and walk that ribbon toward itself. This video has lots of ribbon ideas for you, so be sure that you keep watching if you need help with your ribbons. I have had some people tell me recently that they really need some help with their bow game, so I'm going to try to help you in this video. Now twist, 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 and look at all the little ends, how they pop up there when you do that. They pop up, and the more wire you have in there, the better, because it's going to help you give some body and some height to it from underneath. And then you can fluff that bow. I love to fluff mine. And you know, something else you could do to make this sort of bow is just to use any scraps that you have that are in the colors you like. Save your little scraps if you can, you know. You can use them again. I'm going to cut my wire off because it's nice and tight. Now, that's me fooling with the bow again, because you know how I do. But even at the shorter lengths, you see you can easily control those ribbons that don't have wire on them. I'm going to put this right in the top center. Put yours wherever you want though. I'll add a good bit of hot glue to hold this in place. Y'all be careful now, and I don't want any burnt fingers. I don't want anybody removing fingerprints here. And then you can adjust your bow any way you want. You can cut these a little shorter, which I go ahead and do because it really did need it. They were kind of hanging over, and I don't want to. The idea is to be able to see every little piece of ribbon that's in there, all the different patterns, right? We don't want to cover anything up, and we don't want anything flopping forward when we style it. How easy was this? I know y'all can do this. I want to remind you today, as you're here visiting on my channel, that you're important, you're valuable. Even when we have bad days, and I think we all do, just remember that there's help out there. And that people do care for you. I care for you. You matter to me. We're going to grab up some ribbon. We're going to go to that same ribbon here. A foam block. Some stars. These are just little wooden stars I thrifted. Again, with those balls, I found those. And then these are some pots. Just grab two identical pots. I have two very beautiful royal blue hydrangeas. I think these are snapdragons. Not entirely sure. You can see what the information is on these, and I have two of them. And then I have one white flower. Got our red, white, and blue flowers. I'm going to take these pots apart, and I'm not even going to bother myself with taking all the stuff out of the inside of that one. It's going to be the bottom, so you're not going to see it. We're going to stack these on top and almost make like an urn. And I think using two types of glue is good on this as well. It's definitely something that you want to do if you're going to have it outside or where it might get knocked over so it doesn't come apart. E6000 on part of each raised area, and then I'll use a little bit of hot glue, stack them on top of each other, and hold them in place. I had someone ask me pretty recently about doing urns or little arrangements to put on at the cemetery, and I think that because this has a hole all the way down to the center, this would be a very good option for you to take to the cemetery as an arrangement. It's going to be a pretty little arrangement. You want to be sure that any type of glue or adhesives you use are permanent. Now I want to take the shiny plasticky look out of it and spray paint it with that beautiful satin white, and I love that. I think it looks much better. So that's our bottom right. Now we'll add in our foam. If you're going to use this as a cemetery urn or cemetery decor, you're going to want to glue this in place. Make sure that nothing comes out. I'm using Excelsior grass to go around all of the edges. At this point as well, you might want to go ahead and find your placement for a stake that you can drive that's going to be big enough to go through the center of that foam, through both of the holes in that pot, and into the ground if you want it to be stable at the cemetery. Okay? And that's easy enough to do. It's easy enough to do. You can use a dowel rod for that. All right. So now we can start playing around with our arrangement. Cut your pieces down. You can see I did a dry run and I did not like the way it looked. So I decided to make this shorter. I just didn't like the original arrangement, so I'm going to show you the one that I did finally use. Where that flower is, right next to that is where you would want to drive a stake into the ground to hold your little urn in place. So now, if you want to use this on the porch and not use it at the cemetery, you can start just arranging this. You can start putting this in a way that is pleasing to you, that makes you happy, that makes sense to you. You're going to see me turn this back and forth the whole time I'm making it, unless I edit sections out, because I like to see my arrangements from all sides to make sure that it seems balanced to me, that to my eye it looks right. So I'm adjusting. You can see the way it looks so far. I cut these little pieces off the bottom sections of those very, very tall red flowers. I don't want to keep calling them snapdragons because if they're not right, then it'll get on somebody's nerves. So I'm going to spare you and just call them the red flowers. And then I'll just kind of spread the color out by adding some in the front as well. And I like the idea of using that Excelsior grass, but you could certainly use moss for that. I just thrifted that Excelsior grass not too long ago and wanted to be able to go ahead and use it. Because why thrift something if you're not going to use it, right? Yeah. So then I'm taking the leaves that were areas that I cut off, and I'm just going to add some little wire pieces that I cut off of other florals. I like to save those, so I have a little box that has those in there. I can grab that wire quickly and use it again. And it works great on this. They're pretty much the standard size for most leaves and flowers. So they work well. And I want to have greenery in here, so I'm adding greenery. Remember, if you're using wire, you can bend those into any shape or form. I like the look of that kind of hanging over the edge. And since the greenery came off of these pieces anyway, it looks great. I wanted to add a little something more, so I forgot I had these. I've used these in projects for years. I save them because they are so pretty. What kind of flowers are these? I know I've got some ladies out there who know their flowers. I know I do. Now I'm cutting these at a slant because they're a little too big, a little too long or tall for what I need, so I'm just going to cut them down a little bit. I'll still be able to use them in other projects. Very cute. They're very compact. Such a pretty little flower. And so I had 2 little bunches of red and 1 bunch of white, and I'm just going to add those in there where, I mean, where it feels like it looks good to me. Look how pretty and wild that looks. It looks like you went into your garden and just grabbed some things out of the garden. I love the look of that. So pretty. So now around the center of our urn, I am going to use a strip of that ribbon. This is not necessary if you don't mind your pots or your planter the way that it is. Totally up to you. You could also use jute, but I think that's kind of been overdone, just in my opinion. Anybody else can use rope or jute if they want to. But for me, I wanted to do something different. You know we're all about making it my own on this channel, right? And I always want you to think outside of the box. Definitely do it the way that you like it, but I want to give you options, okay? I always want to give you options. And I like the way this looks. And it gave me more ideas doing it this way. As I was doing it, I knew what I wanted to do next. So hopefully this will be inspiring to you. So we're going around here, and I'm going to continue to add that just where it's kind of gripping on to the last probably 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to put it back on itself and glue it down. And now I will start adding some of the wooden stars. So we're going to do red, white, and blue. The center is going to be the white one. These are just little wood. They're very, very lightweight, and they grip onto the burlap very well. So I'm just going to glue that on, and then I'll go on to the next one I want to add. I always like to kind of give it what I call a dry run. I like to kind of place it down there and see what it's going to look like first before I add the glue and make any final decisions. Any areas that is touching that wicker or the vine or whatever you want to call it on that star, I'm going to glue down onto the burlap because it is a true burlap ribbon. Then we'll go over here to the white so that the pattern will be red, white, and blue. And I'm just going to add that also onto any of the pieces that overlap onto one another. So where the red touches the white, where the white touches the blue, I'm going to take advantage of those spaces to add a little hot glue because it's not very noticeable. Now, if you had strings everywhere, use your heat tool and make them disappear. I want to add some more to the top because I have quite a few of these. So I'm going to grab another red, white, and blue. I'm going to add floral picks right to the inside with some hot glue to hold it in place. And I put about 1 inch in there because I really want to give it some support. I don't want it to fall off. Remember, if it's going to be outdoors and in the sun, you are going to want to use some permanent type of glue, whether it's super glue, whether it's Fix-All adhesive, E6000, whatever you have that you have good experience with it, with permanence, you'll want to use that. And y'all, I want you to think too, this is not just something that would be good for 4th of July or Independence Day, also Memorial Day, Veterans Day, the President's birthdays. I mean, there are so many reasons. If you have a military family, that would be nice. Yeah, I mean, just think of all those ways you can use this. Think of what a wonderful gift this would be to someone as well. I love the movement in that. So nice. I'm so glad that divine intervention steps in for me when I'm not really sure where I'm going on a project. You know, I just look at it, I give it time, and then the ideas come. And I know that that's a God-given gift. And I know also that that is something that we all possess to some extent. We just have to practice it, right? We have to just make that muscle stronger, make that area of our brain stronger, more confident. We're going to do that. We're definitely going to do that on this channel. And this is what this one is going to look like. I'm very happy with this piece. It's so festive and pretty to me, and kind of wild looking on the top. You know how I do it. And I hope that you feel inspired by this. And to the people who ask me about doing cemetery arrangements, I hope that this is something that you'll consider. Very inexpensive, very, very inexpensive. And it really makes an impact, I do think. So here we are with one of those stars from Dollar Tree. It's 2 stars, a hollow star and then one on the inside. I'm going to use a little sander of whatever type you choose. 2 different types of fabric that are red, white, and blue. So I got this one from Dollar Tree, and this is a curtain actually from the thrift store. And then I'm going to use an embroidery hoop. This is a 12-inch hoop, and we're going to start by cutting all of this business off and taking the tag off, okay? Look at this tag. Who doesn't love a clean peel? That is so nice. It's so satisfying. And with these pieces, they're raw, so they often have little snags and edges on it. In order to protect myself, because I have had so many splinters in the past not doing it, I'm going to go ahead and just give it a quick little sand and protect myself as I'm working with it. Look at the paint on my fingers, y'all. I'm going to cut off the hanger, and I am going to take those pieces apart, and now I can really get to it and sand off all the little edges and pieces that need to be done. Wipe all the dust off when you sand, definitely. We're going to do both pieces the same way. Feel it, make sure everything's smooth. Then I'm going to start with the red fabric. I'm going to put it on the solid star. So I'm going to just cut off a section of it that it's easier to work with. This is, like I said, somebody had made a curtain, so we want to go ahead and get this out of the way, cut the trim off. I'll be using Mod Podge to attach this. Now I'm using a matte Mod Podge. You can use outdoor Mod Podge, you can use whatever you want. This is such a fun little project. If you are the kind of person like me who enjoys sitting out on the porch when the wind is blowing and the wind chimes are chiming and the birds are happy and you can see the shadows, and the sunlight just dancing through the trees. Oh, back porches are magical places, aren't they? So this is perfect for that. And I have a grandson who I think will be delighted with this, all the movement in this. So after I've got a pretty thick layer of Mod Podge on there, I'm going to add down my fabric. I'm going to just press it in with my hands, and then I'll grab a brayer, and I'll just go over this entire thing with the brayer, making sure that I'm... Now we've got everything Mod Podged, it's drying over there to the side, and we're going to paint this star. You could certainly do some Mod Podge technique and fabric on here if you want, but I like the idea of just leaving this solid white. So I'm using some matte acrylic paint. In case you don't have chalk paint, acrylic will work. And you can use glossy, whatever type you like, but I like the matte finish, so I'm going to use matte. I'm going to go over all of the edges, and on the inside and on the outside. Whole thing's going to be white. Set it aside to dry. Now this is dry, and it looks like paper. It's practically paper because that Mod Podge, when it is dry, makes it stiffer, kind of like you starched it. So I'm going to cut the bulk of it off. So I've got my sander, and I wanted to show you something. Now, it's not wanting to really sand through this, is it? It's not. It takes a little bit off, but this is really going to bite into it. And it is really going to take that off. Did you see that fall off? Yeah. So you want to have definitely a coarse sandpaper for doing this type of a thing. It'll go right through it and save you some time and aggravation. So once it is dry, I'm going to go right into that hole with my little scissors, just because they're the same, I can get into the hole with that. But you can use it all, and I will show you how to do that when we get to the other side. All right, so there we go. The sides need to be finished. To me, I don't want to leave them open like that. I'm going to grab some of this chalkboard paint from Dollar Tree in the black, and just straight across, I'm going to go with this black. You don't want to use too much because it will possibly bleed down into that fabric. So I'm making sure I'm just flat on that edge, straight up and down to that edge. I have more control this way rather than using a brush when it comes to doing these thin wood edges. And it's just easy. It's just simple to do, really easy to do. And you're not putting a lot of paint on, so it dries quickly. So now you need to set it aside and let it dry. Look how it really makes that pop. I'm going to dress the other side now. I'm going to quickly go through that and show you how to do that. We're going to add a layer of Mod Podge. You don't have to be sparse like you are with paper because the fabric is not going to do all the wrinkling that the paper does. I'm going to put that on top, kind of center it, pat it with your hands, grab the brayer, push any bubbles, wrinkles out. I tried to line my pattern up too. And then you're going to grab your Mod Podge and go over the entire thing. You're going to see a little bit of white on the edges of the star, and that's going to help get those edges nice and crisp. Once it's dry, you're going to do the same thing with the sander, and then you're going to go back over it with the black. Perfect. Exactly what I was looking for. I have some beautiful midnight blue spray paint. I'm going to spray this embroidery hoop and leave it outside to dry in the sun. We're going to reassemble the star now. So you can see the hole in the top. You can use an awl or whatever you have in that diameter to go right through. My awl is perfect for the size of the holes for these Dollar Tree things. We're going to do it from both sides, and wiggling it back and forth is going to help press any of that fabric into that hole and give a nice clean finish. It will look manufactured. See how clean that is? Yes. And now we're going to put it back together. Don't let this intimidate you. I've got some thin grosgrain ribbon in white. You can use a cord, you can use jute, you can use baker's twine, any type of twine, however you want to do yours is completely fine. Not a wire though, because you want it to have freedom of movement. So I'm going to put this right through the back, and it is cut at a slant. I know it's hard to see with such a small ribbon, but it is cut at a slant so it will easily go through that hole. I'm going to find my placement here to make sure it has room. Then I'm going to stabilize it with my wrist and my forearm, so that when I tie that, nothing moves and I still have the same space. And I'll tie it in a double knot, and it will move back and forth perfectly. Of course, you know, it's a weird angle, so it's going to hang up on itself occasionally. Then you can trim off the excess, and you can add some hot glue. I'm just going to move that knot up to that hole right there and then kind of push it down. We'll grab the second piece and feed it through here. Nice. Nice, nice. Everything is working great. And we're going to hang it from our embroidery hoop. I want to make sure that it is in the position that I like. I don't want it to be hanging where it's hitting the edges as it spins, and I don't want it to be too low. So I am going to make a little tie once I've measured. Very easy. I do these all the time. Slide, slide, slide before you tighten anything up. Double check it, make sure it's where it needs to be, and I like it right there. So then I can tighten it up. Just pulling that knot to make it tight. I'm going to loop that over the screw there, and then right down in the crack, I will pull it, both of those pieces right down into there. Add a little hot glue so it doesn't fall off of that loop. And you see I've pulled that straight down into the opening right there. And even when the screw's all the way tight, there's a little space that you can pull your ribbon into. Trim off your excess, make it nice and neat. Now you can leave yours like that if you'd want to, but I am going to use some more of this curtain because I had it, so why not? I'm going to trim off all of the edge where they had the seams, and we're going to make just a little messy little bow. I'm going to just pull pieces off about an inch wide, I guess, of this ribbon or this fabric that's about 5 inches wide, maybe 5 or 6 inches wide. You don't want to go too wide with these in this type of bow because they'll flop straight down instead of standing out. I'll just alternate my blue and my red over on top of each other. Blue, red, blue, red, blue, red. Doesn't matter how many pieces, it doesn't matter. And then I'll take a red piece and go around the center. Again, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Any colors that you want, any fabric you want. You can tear up an old shirt if you've got something that would work for this. Yep, you sure can. Any thrifted anything. I'm just making sure it's about the same length here, making this the right length. I'm pulling off any extra little frays of fabric because the threads will come loose when you do it this way. But I like the look of it. It's very, very shabby. I'm not going to finish the edges. We're going to leave them just like they are. I'm going to try to fluff it out a little bit. And then the little section that we tied it with, I'll wrap it around the screw. That's why you want to use this part. Now there's an intersection that goes with an embroidery hoop too, but that can be saved for another project. You just want the outside. I mean, you can really stretch your money if you buy one hoop and get 2 wreaths, right? Now I'm just going to kind of pull this apart and look at it and see what I like. Now this is the first bow. I'm going to show you how you can do a different bow as well. Okay, so now we're going to turn it over and I'll show you a different bow. Now obviously you're going to want to use the same bow on each side. So if you use the little sloppy bow over there, you want to use that on the front and you want to use it on the back. If you want to use this little, it's going to look sort of like a bow tie, you can use it on the front and on the back. I'm going to tie it in the middle. It's about 6 inches wide if I had to guess. And then you want to tie that in a knot right in the middle. You can certainly use a wider piece, but I'm just using scraps to just show you what you can do if if that's all you have left. I don't want y'all to ever get discouraged and think that you can't do something because you don't have exactly what I have. No, you're going to take what you have and we're going to make it work, okay? So now I'm going to fold the whole thing over and just cut a dovetail. Why? I don't know. I just felt like it was the thing to do at the time. You don't have to do that, but I thought it would look cute, and I actually like it. But I do like the other bow much better. But you got to play around. You got to, when you're creative and you're crafting, you got to play around so you know what you like and don't like. Okay, so again, what you're seeing is 2 different bows. You need to use the same bow on each side. You're going to do the bow tie, do it on both sides. You're going to use the sloppy bow or the little messy bow, and you're going to do it on both sides. Okay? So now I decided, since we have this left, let's make this the hanger. So I'm going to cut a section off that's about 14 inches long. And then I'm going to trim right along the edge where they had already put their seam. So everything is locked in there. It almost looks like a ribbon. I'm going to move that over and put it right in between that hanging ribbon there that attaches the pieces together. I'm going to go over the top, add a little bit of hot glue, glue it back upon itself. You could also stitch this if you need it to be stronger. And then when the glue is cool and you hang it, look how cute that is. But just to make sure nothing slips around when it's hung up in the strong wind, I'm going to add a dot of glue on the back, on that bow, and then I'll flip it over and add a dot of glue on front on the other bow. And then this is how it is going to look. And then I'll flip it over and show you what the back side looks like. And then there's the other. Very easy way to stretch your money and still get that really nice look. And you're using a Dollar Tree piece, right? And some stuff that you already possibly had. And that makes this project great. All of these projects are doable. They're not hard. It's definitely something that you can work with. Look at the movement in there. That's going to be so pretty on the wind, in the wind when I'm sitting on my back porch. I've got some ribbon from the Dollar Tree. Just, the patriotic colors, blue, white, red. And then here are some that are actually in the 4th of July section in Dollar Tree. Then you can get 2 packs of bandanas. I've already used one, so I'm going to use this one and this cute little sign. I thought this sign was pretty much ready-made and really looked nice on its own. So here's the info if you want to try to find one. And we're just going to embellish this sign. We're not going to paint it, cover it up. We're just going to add a little something extra. So grab that hanky, put it in a diamond shape, take your tag off mini pearl. Then we're just going to fold it a little bit. And I'm a big fan of Scooby-Doo still after all these years. And we're going to make an ascot for our jar. How about that? Or a bandana or a scarf. However you want to look at it. I thought this was a little bit different, unpredictable, and I thought that it would be cute on this little jar sign. So just doing a little simple knot over here. You can do a double knot if you want to, or you can just kind of secure it with a little bit of glue, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to tack this down in just a few places to keep it from sliding around, but we don't want to do, too much to it. I want this to look like it's got a little movement in it, because to me it just looks a little more interesting and the dimension that it gives just makes it a little more interesting rather than being flat. So we're going to try to play around with this just a little bit until the look is achieved and everything's secure. So now by just pulling this over a little bit and leaving those little wrinkles, it almost looks like fold lines when the wind blows, and I like that. So you can see what I've done. It's very easy, and just using a little hot glue, it works perfectly. I like this blue and white polka dot, and I also like this red. The red one is surprising because I thought the quality would be less because some of the ribbons are very, very thin. So the red and white ribbon is actually kind of ribbed. It's nice. The texture is nice, and then this one's kind of silky. So we're going to do 3 of each one, and you could see that we did, I think that was 8 or 9 inches. Keep them all the same length. You're going to fold it in half and grab it right in the middle. We are going to make a funky bow, and this is the tiniest funky bow I've ever made. But I thought it would be cute for this festive project. So if you have 4th of July at your house and you have parties at your house, these kind of little things are a little bit quicker, like this project, than some of the other things. If you don't have the time to craft something that takes a little more in-depth kind of detailing, then something like this would be a good option for you, I think. Keep in mind, I have little hands. I wear a size 5 ring, so I have small hands. And if you have larger hands, you might want to make your bow a little bit bigger, just because it gets kind of challenging to hold those little tiny short bows in the crook between your finger and your thumb. Well, I did anyway. These are not wired ribbons, so keep that in mind. We're not going to make that a problem. I'm just going to use a zip tie to put mine together. I'm just kind of checking the tops to make sure that they were the same length, so when we fluff it out, the bow will look nice. And then, so we zip tied it, and now I can start dovetailing my ends. If you don't like a dovetail, I can't imagine anybody not liking a dovetail, but I do understand on small projects, you just want to cut a little slant in it and be done with it. So I'm going to do a couple of little dovetails in here, and it's tricky because it's a really small bow compared to what normally the funky bows look like. But I'll show you how to make a bigger one and a little bit different shortly on another project, so stick around. And then you can just cut smaller ribbons at a slant instead of trying to dovetail that. Get your glasses on so you can see what you're doing. We don't want to cut fingers here. Then you just kind of grab it and twist it. Now this is where having something wired would really come in handy because it kind of locks everything into place a little bit better. But you can definitely make it work without using wired ribbon. So we're just going to have no excuses here. If you don't have wired ribbon, it doesn't matter. Grab up some regular ribbon that you have there and just glue it down and start flipping it around and pulling and manipulating those loops on the top. When you want something to stay in place, all it takes is a drop of hot glue to tack it down. I don't want everything to be glued flat down because it takes the dimension away. I just want to add a couple of pieces here and there to keep the ribbon from flipping to the wrong side. So the fun part is you can use buttons or stickers or any type of a wooden embellishment, or these are actually little spokes from a bicycle kit that I bought. And it has these little things that you snap on the bike. Well, we're going to cut some of those off and we're going to leave some of those on. So some of the little stars will be a little higher up and some will be a little bit lower down. So trim those off for a few of them. And if you cut something like this into a bag, it keeps you from flinging it across the room, because I have definitely cut the backs off of buttons and never saw the button again. So here's an option for you. Okay, so I've just kind of put them out where I want them to be, and it's pretty much over the original stars that are on there, so pretty easy to follow that. All right, so I'm going to continue around here and put these all over. You could use half rounds. You don't even have to do this, but you know how I am about dimension. So I want to have dimension in my projects, and that gives it a little something extra. All right, we're going to start off with a scarf from Dollar Tree, and I like this one with the popsicles. I'm going to use the remainder of the red burlap that I had. I've got some thrifted, ribbon, and these were 75 cents at Walmart. And then I have a wreath. Now this is the middle size wreath. This is not the large one. Pipe cleaners are going to help us hold our wreath together. So we're going to start by going to the outside there, and that is going to make our first loop. And we're going to do these on each of those crossbars, and there are 6 of those. So across each one, we're going to go right across there, and you can see it's like toward the middle. You can see that, right? Toward the middle. I might have said outside, but it is toward the middle. I'm going to twist these around here and push them to the outside. And now we're going to go to the outside, and we're going to go across 2 bars. So we're going to go across a middle and an outside loop. A middle and an outside loop. And we're going to do this all the way around. We're going to start laying down a burlap base. So I'm just gonna, this is something that I've had, if you haven't been around here for long, this is some that I bought a long time ago, and I have had it in my stash and not used it. So here we go. Let's use it. Let's use that stash up. Now, we're going to start on the outside, or in the middle here. Measure down 5 or 6 inches. Now, if you do 5 inches, your poofs are just going to be a little bit smaller. The bigger your poofs are, you know, a little bit bigger that base is going to be, or fatter at least. It's going to be bulkier. But I want enough in here so that it looks plump. I want a nice little full wreath, and I think that in the end you will see that I believe we did accomplish that. So this isn't even an entire roll that I'm going to be using here, and it works fine. And we are going to do the inside, outside, inside, outside, inside, outside, all the way around until we get back to the beginning. See, here's where we started originally, but we're going in the, you know, continuing to go around in a circle. I'm going to still pull up that same amount of loop, twist it in right on top of that original first loop that we had, and then you can just trim off your excess. Don't cut it too small, because if you fluff and you have it very, very small, when you fluff you may pull it out of your tie, and then you'll have to start over, or at least redo that section. So just, you know, just to help you out. Now, as always, let's fluff. You got to fluff them out, right? Make sure that everything's secure. If anything comes loose, go ahead and wrap it back until you get this look. Okay, now we're going to go on the inside here, and right around the crossbars of the inside we are going to make 6 of these on the inside. So this is not going to wrap directly around the middle, and it can slide back and forth on the frame. Just try to get 1 in each section, spaced out about the same amount. And we'll start doing the intersection. Probably could have done this without cutting it off, you know, just continued around, but this was kind of a last minute thing. You know what I said about working on emotion, kind of going with your gut? That's what I was doing. But once I got that done, I was like, well, let's go ahead and do something on the inside and really bulk this up. So I'm not measuring these, but this is going to be about 5 or 6 inches, about the same size as the other ones. They're going to be longer, but they will be as tall as the bubbles you already have in there. So we're just going to go all the way around, and then it's the same process. Once you get back to your original spot, you can just trim it off, and then the form of that base will be done, and we'll start doing the fun stuff. Here's that scarf. I'm going to bunch that pretty little scarf up in my fingers, and we're going to treat it almost like we would a piece of ribbon or burlap. Find a starting spot, give yourself about 2 inches to start, and then poke that down into your wreath frame. Then you're going to make a little poof, and I'm not measuring here because the idea of this is that it is just going to rest right on top of the loops that are under it. So if you just lightly pull it across, see, you can lightly pull it and then tuck it down, twist it in tightly, and then you can pull it out and it will sit on top of that red that's underneath it. So it gives it a little body so that the thin scarf is not flopping around. I found this is a very easy way to use a scarf in a project. If you don't have a scarf, you can just grab another roll of burlap in a contrasting color maybe and use that here. I thought when I was making this wreath, I wanted to do something that was vintagey and kind of Americana, kind of a mixture, like my own little idea. And I think in the end, I accomplished that. But I encourage you to do your own thing. You know, make it your own and do whatever you like. I want you to take that inspiration and do what you can with it. Okay, so you see we have some room left where we did not have enough of that, but that's okay because I planned on adding a really pretty bow. But first we need to work on our ribbon stacks, and I'm going to give you some options in a minute. We're going to cut these in 8-inch pieces. I'm going to give you some options and you can decide here what pattern you want to use, just to, you know, in case you don't like the way I do it. So here's one. Of course, your tails would be finished. They'd be dovetailed or cut at a slant. Keep that in mind. You could do something like this and use 4 pieces like that. Or even something just as simple as this. But this is the one I'm going to go with, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it down and make my little dovetails. Get this a nice finish. This is a very thick burlap wired ribbon. It is very thick. So I think it was from Walmart. It has a very thick and crisp, I don't even know how to explain it. You know when you get a good quality ribbon and you're like, wow, that is really thick and nice. This is a sturdy ribbon. And because it has some wire in it and the ribbon that's on top does not, this is going to make it really much easier for us to have some body in that ribbon stack. So I've just got a little piece of burlap or some jute cord or string, and yeah, I might have cut that piece a little too small. Try to give yourself a little more wiggle room here. And then I'm just going to slowly pull it together so that it will not flip that bow over. And then tie a couple of knots to keep it secure. If it's in the back, it's not in the way, and you don't even have to bother removing that or cutting that off. So I like the look of that. I think that is very cute. If you're wondering why I'm using the burlappy colors, or I am using that Americana or folky color, it just matches to me the cones and parts of the colors, the sticks, and all that in those popsicle sticks. So I thought, okay, this is the opportunity to bring some of that in. Flip it over and do the same thing. So if you didn't get it the other time, now you can see what I'm doing. Kind of squishing it toward the middle with my fingers, and when I'm tying it, I do the same thing. I kind of flip them as they start to flip over, kind of push them down and pull them into that knot. It's going to squish them together and make them kind of puff up just a little bit, and that's the idea with those shorter ribbons because they're not very thick. But look how pretty this is once you get it done. We're going to work with just the center sections, and we're only going to do 5 of them, because that red spot down in the bottom is where we're going to have our pretty bow. So this is how it looks so far. I love the combination. Very cute, and it's definitely something different, so I did make it my own. So now we're going to go to our ruler, and we're going to cut 3 strips of each of the ribbons that we want to use in the bow at that same amount. So I've grabbed up some Dollar Tree ribbon, some of my thrifted ribbon, and then we're going to bring this all together. I'm going to use a pipe cleaner and a zip tie, and we'll start putting these together. Now for this one, we are going to slide that ribbon up. So you're going to go halfway up with your loop. This is going to be about, I think it's a 4 or 5 inch, a 6 inch. It is a 6-inch loop. Okay. But notice with this one, we just have one tail. Okay. One tail. We're going to get that loop, make sure that we have about 1 inch left in our hand, and then we'll start with the next one. I'm tucking this in really tightly because for this one, this is going to be a challenge to my small hands, right? Same measurement. You want your loops to be exactly the same, and you can measure them against each other. I'm going to grab alternating patterns and colors of the ribbon because I don't want two things right next to each other. It's a little harder to fluff out once you get ready to use your bow. And the stars and the checked ribbon or the gingham ribbon, they are not wired, so just keep that in mind. Same process. I'm going to start my pattern over with the striped, and then I'll grab the stars. I have not moved my hand or my grasp at all. The whole time I'm doing a funky bow, I never let go of that stack. I continue to hold it in my hand. Okay, that's important. Don't let go of it unless you've got a clamp or something that you're using to hold it for you instead. Okay, so far so good. And then here is our last 3 pieces of ribbon that we're going to add here. I've got this one, and then the stars. You can see I'm still leaving a little bit underneath because I have to have something to grab onto so that my loops don't fall apart. And a zip tie is really good. You want to put in get your zip tie ready, slip that little pipe cleaner in there with that because you're going to use that to attach it. And then you're going to tighten that up super tight. A good quality zip tie will allow you to pull that without breaking off. Now for all these long tails, I'm going to dovetail them. And you'll see me you see how we have the extras under there? That shows us that we have it locked in up underneath that zip tie. Nothing's coming out because it's all locked in. Now, vigorous fluffing of this bow, people. I pull the tails down and away from each other. I'm going to flip the tails down so that the bottom where it hangs, all the tails will be underneath it. I love doing a bow like this. So I'm going to pull those out now because that's going to be the bottom section, and try to separate the patterns as much as I can. Again, if you need to use a little bit of hot glue to tack here and there with those tails, you can do that so that you can see them all. Really fluff that top up, and then it makes the perfect size bow to go right on the side of that wreath. That can be your bottom, your side, the top. I'm going to put it off to the right side, and I'm just going to twist it down to the frame and then do a little more fluffing. That's why we didn't need to use any more bow stacks that we used, because we just would have been covering up with this big bow. Once that bow is on there, you can go ahead and trim if you want to trim, cut things down if you want to. You can start adding some embellishments. Now these came from Temu. Oh my goodness. But these little vintage 4th of July pieces are adorable, and they match so well with that old look that I was going for. So kind of Americana, I think. I'm going to put some hot glue on here and then place them down on the bows. I don't want to lay them completely flat. I want them to be glued down, have enough surface to glue to without them being just shoved into the wreath. You want things to look like to keep it dimensional anyway, you want things to look like they are kind of layered but sitting comfortably on top of each other, not smashed flat. I hope that makes sense. I think you know what I'm talking about. That's the same thing that we do with bows. You know, we want bows to give us dimension, and we want to fluff them up so they have that free look. And we want everything to get a little bit of attention. I just alternated the single children with the little 2 children all the way around. So 1 child, 2, 1 child, 2, like that all the way around until we get back to the bow, because obviously we don't need to put anything in the bow. Look at this pretty wreath. Now if you wanted to, at this point, you could put some type of a hanger on the back. I usually just use a little piece of jute to make a tie, but you can also use a little bit of pipe cleaner, maybe even one of the pieces you cut off when you trimmed it down, and just put that on the back so you have something to hang your wreath with. Or you can hang it directly through the wire frame, which you can still get to. So before we finish any project, we go back, trim down what we need to trim down, and I decided to cut these a little bit shorter to give them a little more, kind of blend in a little bit better over there. And then this is how it's gonna look. I really like this wreath. Really like it. I hope you enjoy it too. I have this little coaster. It's just a paper coaster I got thrifting. This little pot came from thrifting too. This is a little foam ball, and it's one I've already used once. And then a little bit of grass or some raffia. I'm going to use a variety of thrifted and Dollar Tree greenery and flowers. Very pretty. And you can choose what you want. I want to use those summery greens for this, so that's why I chose the ferns and the dark green. I'm going to add some hot glue in the bottom of this little pot so that it will hold that ball in place. I'm going to start with my fern in the middle. I'm going to make sure that I cut it down so that this fern is kind of close to the bottom. Now, if you don't have any moss, you can take stuff like raffia, you can take a grass skirt from Dollar Tree and just cut that into pieces and use it. I mean, you definitely do not have to go out and buy new stuff if you don't have it right now. Use what you have in your stash. But Dollar Tree does carry some of this moss, and it works good too. It looks grassy, so I think it'll be good to just cover up the white foam and make this look more complete. I don't want to see white foam in the bottom of my piece. So then we'll start with our flowers. I've pushed all the greenery up, and let me show you what you can do when your flowers are mushed. I've shown this on other videos, but I think it is pertinent. Still, you just take your little warmer or your blow dryer, whatever you have, and you're just going to kind of run over it, almost like you're ironing it or steaming it. Don't hold it in one place too long. You see me moving it back and forth because I don't want to burn anything. I don't want to burn my fingers. And look how that just unfolds and looks beautiful. Now the quality of that flower has went from Dollar Tree to Michael's just that quick. It is worth the extra work, people. So now let's start with our red, white, and blue. And of course, you know, this is where you can get a little playful when you get festive. I do realize that you don't really see that many of the exact same family of flower and that's this many colors, or these types of colors. Is that blue? Probably not. But for something festive and fun, I think it's perfect. Love to be able to play around with that. So I'm just going to cut them in different lengths. I'm going to have some higher than other ones, and I'm not just going to poke them straight down in the middle. So I think these are these begonias, y'all? Where are my gardeners? I think these might be begonias. And I'm going to press these down in here. They just give a little difference. They just give a little different texture, and I think it's really pretty. If you need to move something, and while you're making your arrangement, it doesn't quite feel balanced or right for you, pull it out. There's no glue on here yet. This is just the point where you're playing around with it and you're making it. And if you're making it for yourself, this is fine. But if you're going to give it away as a gift or something, you might want to consider using some hot glue before you go into that foam ball to really lock it in place. So I've got some little grassy pieces. I'm just going to poke here and there. I do move this piece around a little bit because this is how I do my arranging. Rarely do I ever poke something in place and never touch it again. I'm going to add some more of the beautiful thrifted fern, but Dollar Tree's got some really pretty fern right now. You gotta look, Yeah, I didn't like that there. We're going to do something else there. I'm going to put that sort of toward the bottom, almost right level with the cup. Okay? And by all means, use a cup if you need to use a cup. I've done arrangements in cups that I love so much. To cover the back of this and just going to take the advertisement off, I'm going to use a little scrap of ribbon that I have left, and I'm not sure where this came from, y'all. I do not know. I just saved the scrap from last year. Probably thrifted it because I've never seen it before. You know, at Dollar Tree. Not anything that wide anyway. I'm just cutting the wire sections off and trimming it down so that it will fit flush with the back. We need a stand for it or a pick so we can put it down in the foam. So this is how I've added this little stick here. And then I'm going to add a line of glue to the top, and we're going to work quickly to do the sides because it will dry quickly. Protect your fingers, y'all. If you're not using cool temp glue or you're using your hot glue gun, please protect your fingers. So now it looks pretty on both sides, and I can place it down in the arrangement. And I like these to look like they're you know, a little sign that's peeking out of a flower bed. And you can play around with that too. You can move it around, make it as high or as low as you want. I want it to look a little sort of nested in there a little bit. So I move things around, you know, I'm going to be scoot stuff around in the end screen. Even you'll probably see something that you didn't see me actually do. Now these pip berries, oh my goodness, I love these. So I got red, white, and blue, and they came from Dollar Tree. I'm going to coil it around anything that you have. I just use the stick from a piece of a carving tool over there, the handle. And then I'm going to take the wire, it's on the wire, so you can use the wire to push down into your phone. And these are kind of reminding me of fireworks. So, or like the ones that you shoot in the sky and they twist around and then pop. Those are so cute. And some of them, what are they called? Whistlers? They whistle when you do it. So you can see here I have the white next to the white begonias and the red next to the red. I do change that, swap that up in a minute, which is the whole great reason why you really take a look at your project from all sides and really look at it. So here's the blue, and I'm going to put that one on there, give it a little curve, and then place that down. You're trying to thread it through that fern in the middle. See, I switched it. Now it looks much better. I love the look of this. What a cute little thing to put on your desk or as to give as a gift. Maybe to a veteran, you know. Okay, so I have had these for a while. I've used them in 4th of July projects before. Here's some more of that red and white gingham, some more of the star ribbon. This is a piece of that extra that I had. This is silver. Then I have some silver and some red rickrack. I've got some blocks here. And here is a sign that hangs that came from the Dollar Tree. This is a thrifted piece of wood that I found. It's like a piece of paneling, I guess. We're going to use it for our base. This is not going to be a large leaner, but it is definitely going to be a leaner that can be used for the 4th of July. So I'm going to pull those off. Those are stapled. Some of the products that they have that hangs are actually glued, but this one was stapled, so take those out and be careful. These are the only size that I had. I ran out of my blocks that came from Dollar Tree, so these are bigger and they're really going to give some dimension. All right, so I'll let that glue cool on those stars, and I'm going to make something as a topper to go on this board. Now, I know that I want to use this piece, and I'm going to really stack this high. In order to wrap this around where everything is still in place, nothing slips, and I get it straight, if you know what I mean, we're going to clamp it. Now, when I pull it over, I can make sure I get all the slack out, and then I can use my glue gun to put this in place. Sometimes with pieces of open weave ribbon, you'll burn the fire out of yourself with the glue gun. So just, you know, use the stapler if you can. Use some shallow staples. Help yourself out there. Plus you have no dry time, so that's great. Now I'm just going to cut this in manageable sections, enough that I can wrap it to the back. But to hold it in place for now as I do the stacks, I'm going to use a very thin little strip of hot glue in the center of each ribbon to just hold the next layer down. You can stop at any point with this. If you don't like how festive this is or how busy this is on the top, you could always just take some rope and wrap around it. You can just use one ribbon to put around it, or you can take some jute and wrap that around the top, like the simple farmhouse type stuff. You could do that if you wanted. But now all these are in place so that when I flip it over, they are going to be perfectly straight and I don't have to worry about anything slipping. Look at all the layers in this silly thing. Just going to flip it over. And now all of these are still in the same position. I can flip them to the back and avoid the glue again and just staple them in place. It's so easy to do. And if they're level and even in the back, then they should be in the front because they're glued down. So I'm just going to grab that. One more staple to do it. Now look how festive and bright that is. So once I decide where I want to put those stars, I'm going to keep the original pattern of red, white, and blue. And I'm just going to put those right here on my sign. Now this, I was trying to find if any of the points on the star were different, because you know sometimes when stars are cut out they're shaped a little bit different. They're not like symmetrical. So I was trying to make sure I got that right, back down right. Now use some type of a super glue if you're going to be putting yours outside. I did use Gorilla Glue in my my glue gun, but you know, use what you have. But do not be surprised if you use a regular cheap glue if this falls apart in the summer heat. So might want to keep it in the shade or in the house if you want to do it that way, because it would definitely look good in the house too. Maybe you could just lean this by your fireplace. So I'm going to put these in almost like they're shooting out the side and just add a touch of glue so they don't come out. I'm going to take a window cling, and these are from last year, and I'm going to use my glue stick to put this down on a piece of scrap cardstock that I had. And I'm using white, and I will trim it out to make a little sign to go on the top. I like that this is going to bring all the rest of those projects together so that you really could use them all in one season of decorating your home for the 4th of July or any patriotic holiday, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, whichever way, whatever one you celebrate. If it's patriotic, we got it right here. You could even use this for, you know, the president's birthdays if you wanted. Okay, so now that they're all in place, that's how that will look. I'm going to grab some extras because I found these in my box. I found some more, and I'm going to add them at different heights. Now see, I'm adding glue as I need to, like a tiny bit of glue on there to keep it locked in place. But because we didn't go all the way to the edge, it's easy to tuck things in there. If you go all the way to the edge when you're putting your ribbons down, then you won't have the room to do this. You'll just have to use a different technique to keep it in place. This is a very welcoming 4th of July eye-catchy sign. You could add lights to this if you wanted to, and that would be cute as well. Alright, so here's another one of those hanging Dollar Tree signs. I have a flameless candle we're going to be using, a little bit of foam, this beautiful ladle or spoon, and then some more of that pitberry. This is easy. This is so easy, y'all. This is a good beginner craft. So I'm going to use some hot glue in the base of that spoon. I'm holding it upright so that I can make sure that the foam is going to make the candle level. So I did test my candle out first. With these pitberry vines, they come in rolls, but they're connected in sections. So I'm going to take sections of 2 of the blue, 2 of the red, and 2 of the white. They're still together. You can see where they're twisted. And I am going to stagger the lengths of the wire that they're on so that I get red, white, and blue with no gaps or not too many berries stacked in one spot. I hope that makes sense. It will kind of stagger out the berries and look very thick, and it's just going to look nice. So I'll start a roll to see how wide I need this to be. That was a pretty good guess, wasn't it? Then I'll go ahead and lock in that size by wrapping that end piece around there. So now it's just a matter of wrapping, going in the inside of it, pulling it out. Be careful because the little berries will fall off here and there. Just keep that in mind. Be gentle with it. I sped this up so you don't have to watch it all, but I took my time. And this is going to be so pretty. If you don't want to do it this way, you could just use red, or you could just use white, or you could just use blue. But I love the red, white, and blue together like this. I've never seen it done this way, and I think it looks cute. Fits perfectly on our candle. Look at that. Very pretty. Now I'm going to pull off this center section, and we're going to glue it down to this spoon. This is going to be a really pretty kitchen arrangement or a little decoration. This is so easy to do, y'all. You know it is. So I've got my hot glue. I'm going right over it. This is concave in the middle, but I'm just going to go over the edges where it's going to touch just long enough to hold it down so that we can get it glued on the back. I love Live Free. I'm going to let it dry for just a second. It doesn't catch very well, but I'm going to prop it up, and I'm going to go across it back and forth. I love that this is enamel. I'll be able to peel all this off when I get ready to. I'm going to go across this with some hot glue and add a scrap of that ribbon that I had. Add a little bit at a time so I can pull that straight down on the back, and then of course finish your edge so it doesn't come apart. That's going to secure it down there really well for you. And then now you can set your candle in, and you can hang this anywhere you want to in your kitchen. How cute! Let's put a bow on the little basket that is on the bicycle. And it would have been cute to use a little bit of the rickrack here also. And you can embellish that any way you like. Simple, simple. So much goodness. There is my Americana vintage retro wreath. Love it. Glad to get to use up some of my extras. And our little arrangement to make it your own. That's the channel name, and that's what I strive for here. I want to encourage you always to keep pushing, believe in yourself, and just practice, practice. Look at that candle lit up in there. So cute. I want y'all to be sure that y'all check out the links that I leave in the description box. Always check those links out. I try to give you extra videos to watch, give you a little something to keep the party going, and I also leave any extra information that I'll talk about here in the channel. So check it out there in the description box. I've done in the past, but we're gonna go over them and see how we did. So I got a little sign and some stars here and just a little block. And we're going to see what we can make out of these pieces. I am cutting off the string here. Y'all had my nails done. What about that? You don't see that very often. So how are we going to address this? All right, there's holes. So we're going to take that tape and put over the holes in the back. And when I learned this little trick, it was a real game changer for me. Because I had done projects previously that had the little holes in there, and you know, you try to plug it up with paint, it takes forever to dry. But doing it this way has been helpful, and I've done it like this, I think, every project that had holes in the top, which is pretty much everything you get from Dollar Tree. We're going to use the back part, it looks like, for a stand. Just adding some glue. You know, you can use building blocks for these sorts of things. Those tower blocks, those would certainly work. I might be doing a little critiquing of my video skills in this video as well. Alright, so I'm going to take these apart. And I remember I got these at Dirt Cheap, I do believe. And they were like 90% off. They were very, very cheap. But you can find little signs like this, I mean, pretty much anywhere. These little stars you can get in. You know what you could do is those balloon weights that you get at Dollar Tree. They have the little cellophane on the bottom, or the little, you know, the metallic paper, and then the metallic stars that are on top. You could always cut those off and use those in this project. I think that would work. Since this little block is supposed to be like a picture frame, I'm going to use it just to stick it right down in there. It fits in that little slot. But if you don't have the little slots in the back like that, you can just tape it right on the back, or glue it right to the back of it, and that'll be fine. But you're still going to need some type of a little block or something in the back to balance it so that it'll stand up if you want this to be a little standing sign. So we always have little, I fix my bar, I put all the dishes out, you know, I put all the food out and the things, and I use this as part of, like, you know, the display amongst the food. Y'all have seen these signs. They are definitely still out at the Dollar Tree. This is just a little block from, it's the top actually from a candle. A little scrap of fabric that I thrifted, and then I have some half round wood beads here. So I'm just going to take off that label, and using the heat tool has definitely helped me as well with taking off stickers. We always seem to be rushing for time, right? Anything we can do that'll cut that time down will make it perfect. So I wanted to do something different here. I see people put wreaths in the middle all the time of these signs, and that's great, and you can certainly do it. You know, you could have just kept the little wreath that was on there and fixed it up, put some beads or something on it. But I wanted to just give it some more dimension, you know, make it a little bit different than what you see every single day, than maybe you've seen on every porch or in every home. I wanted to make it a little different. I've always been the kind of person that has liked to do things a little differently. I like to put my own spin on things, and that's why I created and named this channel Making It My Own DIYs, because it's so freeing not to feel locked inside of a box, I think. It's something that I've applied to a lot of things in my life, and applying that in my channel and in my creations and my art and my editing my videos. I feel like I get a chance to do that and express myself without fear of having to be exactly like somebody else, you know? And that's a really freeing feeling. So there's a little step down here on this lid, of course, where you sit it on a candle jar. And we're going to take advantage of that and put this little wreath right around it. The little beads, or the berries, I mean, they came from Dollar Tree as well. You can get those pretty much all year round, I think. In my trees you can, my Dollar Trees. So I'm just going to use that to thicken up the wreath that was already on there. And we're just going to make it a little bit better, a little beefier, right? So I'm just going to put that right down on top. You could always use, maybe if you wanted to make yours thicker. Ooh, look at the heat off of that glue gun. Wow. If you wanted to make yours be a little bit higher up, and I'm just squishing that glue down, you could always use something else for dimension. You can use a regular jar lid here. If you have the round plain ornament pieces, you could use that to kind of bulk it up. Totally up to you. Also, the center of this could be painted. I had considered that when I did this project, but I decided to just go ahead and leave it as is. I'm just taking these beads, adding a little glue, and just going all the way around here. I have to pull one of those beads off and adjust it because it's kind of wonky looking. There we go. I just pushed it up. I didn't even have to pull it off. So, you know, at this point, you could put a sticker in the middle of that. You could paint the entire thing. You could paint just the beads and leave the center open. Whatever you prefer, you can go ahead and do. I always tell y'all that. Again, making it my own means making it your own. Do whatever makes you happy. Whatever brings you joy. We don't have to impress anybody else with the things that bring us joy, because joy is something that's, it's individual. You can access it. Anybody can access joy, you know, but it's kind of personalized. So whatever makes you happy, you do it, you know. You don't like farmhouse, you like glam, well, then do glam. You know, look at this, take the inspiration and glam it up. Whatever makes you happy. You could use rhinestones on this. You could use glitter on this. You know, just make it your own. All right, so look at this gorgeous ribbon. This was from Dollar Tree. And you can probably get the same print this year. I'm going to cut this out into like a little circle. Yep, that's what I did. Y'all, I did not go back over these videos before I put them in this video for you, because I wanted to have fresh eyes on this as I was doing the voiceover. Okay, so I did put something in the middle. Yes, I did. But you don't have to. And I like the idea of using that ribbon as, you know, a piece of fabric, because that is what it is, right? It's just in a long string instead of in a block. And I could have used that red fabric over there, but I don't use that until another project. So that's another thing. I should have clipped that out when I was editing, but I didn't. See, we miss stuff. Y'all, I have a company now. Making It My Own is my company. It's very exciting. Can you see how that looks? Now, leave it this way, or I'm going to do a little something different here. I have an acrylic paint marker that is blue. I'm going to take that blue and fill in all of this little section here. Red would also be very pretty here. You can use white, or you can leave it exactly blank. Heck, if you wanted to and you had different types of decor, say you wanted to make this like a bee sign that was a home sign with bees on it, you can make this black and yellow. That would be gorgeous. Yeah, I like the way this one turned out. This is one that I kept and have not broke it down, not taken it apart. So these are the jars that you can get at Dollar Tree. It's a little MDF. I've got some plaid ribbon, and then there's that piece of red fabric. It's very primitive looking. Mod Podge and a brush, and then some jute cord. And I'm just gonna start taking everything off so we can put more things on top of it. And there we are, taking off that sticker on the back. I don't think it's necessary, you know, when you're using a dark or thick fabric to take it off. You know, I don't know. I don't guess you would have to because it would be covered up, but if you're using a paper on there, you would be able to see it through it, so I wouldn't do that. You don't want it to be nice and finished and fresh looking. So, it is pretty on the other side. I do like the print on the other side, but wanted to do something 4th of July for this. So I'm just going to take this little scrap and put it across the bottom part here, press it down, and put my Mod Podge on top. This is another one of those things that I really enjoy doing, and that is Mod Podge. I love Mod Podging fabric. The results are just incredible. It changes that material into something completely different. It's like completely different. It turns it thick, it makes it easier to manage, it stays on there, it looks like it's painted on. It is very nice, but it still has that textural look. So it's just, you know, it gives it a little something different. So I'll cut most of this off, you know, roughly cut it off so that I can have a nice clean finish on the edge. But what really finishes it off is the sanding block. Sanding blocks, I love. I also found that you can use those, I think they're diamond something emery boards that are at Dollar Tree. They work really well for small or narrow pieces that you're working on. You know, you can really get into little areas and curves and stuff. That works really well too. I have not had very much luck finding these at my local Dollar Trees in a while, so maybe making an Amazon order. Where do y'all get your blocks, your sanding blocks? I'd really like to know, and I know you can get them at craft stores and, you know, different places, but what I'm looking for is very affordable so that I can share that with other people. You know, the people who watch my channel, they like budget friendly, and I'd like to be able to offer that to them. I'd like to help out any way I can with tips and tricks to keep it budget friendly. So I have rewrapped my jute and then just glued it in the back. And now we're going to be embellishing it. Embellishing is the fun stuff, right? Embellishing is the stuff that you can make it so personalized that the same person might have that jar and make it over, and you may see it 20 different ways. You may see it 30 different ways, but the way you make yours is unique. I love rickrack. If I would have found some orange or bright green, that would have been something great to put back for Halloween. So that's something that you might consider if you're still finding that spring stuff in your Dollar Trees. You might want to grab some of those. I think they're in sets of 3. Grab some of those and put in your crafting toolkit for later. So now what I'm making is just a stacked bow. This is easy to do. These are, and I don't know if you want to call it, it's not a stacked bow, it's a messy bow. And actually, if you look at it, it's not actually a bow. It's just a stack of ribbons. It's a ribbon stack. I guess we could call it that. But you know what I mean when I say it. Okay. Once it's tied, and always tie 2 or 3 knots if you're going to be using a string or jute, because when you start fluffing things out, you do not want it to come apart. And knots can slip so easily unless you really secure them. You can even add a little dot of hot glue on the back to make sure your knot really is locked into place. I'm going to fluff these out. I love the trims. They came from the Dollar Tree. And then the jute, and then the rickrack. I think I thrifted the rickrack. I don't believe I got that at Dollar Tree. And for those of you who are wondering, I do get most of my stuff thrifting or at the Dollar Tree. Very rarely do I get anything from a craft store. So I just took a pencil here and put this and just wrote on the top of it, because again, you know, once you put that Mod Podge on there, it really makes it kind of like a paper or a solid surface. And I just wrote in a 4 to give myself some lines to kind of play with. And I'm going to take these half rounds, these little half bead things, and put them down to make a 4. Now, my sister gave me these. I probably would guess that she got them from Amazon with crafts that she was doing, but she did give me some craft supplies that were hers. So I'm not entirely sure, but I know you can get them on Temu. I know you can get them on Amazon. Heck, at this point, you could probably get half rounds at Dollar Tree. Don't quote me on that, because I've never found them there, but you know, you might could. They're really doing... They've shocked me. I mean, the price increase, yes, it was a price increase and a shock to all of our systems, I think. But I think it has been worth it. I have found some fantastic things for $1.25 in there. You just got to know what you're looking for, just like thrifting. You got to know kind of what you would pay for it in the store to know if you're getting a bargain. So that is the little jar, which I love. And I never really did get into gnomes. I think they're cute and they have their place. But we're going to use the little gnome sign. This was a Christmas sign, I think, that I got from Dollar Tree. And then I'm just going to start taking it apart, peeling off the edge of the house. When you're doing projects like this and you take it like a framework off or something like that, be sure that you remove all the glue and the messiness on the back. You can even sand it if you want to, because once you get ready to glue it back down, it's going to be lumpy and bumpy looking, and you don't want that, right? You don't want a sad looking piece. You want it to look really good. You don't want people to necessarily know you did it right as soon as they look at it. You know, you don't want it to scream, oh look, it's a handcrafted piece. No, you want people to think that maybe you got it at a store. So some of these products do have staples, these signs and things from Dollar Tree. Just be sure that you use some type of a cutters or pliers and just take those out so you don't cut your hands or poke holes in your paper. These are just those little pieces of wallpaper pieces that you can get at Dollar Tree. And I just traced it out and I'm going to put it on top of here to give our house a little something extra. And at one point, my channel, I was really into farmhouse, and I did almost everything farmhouse or rustic farmhouse. I'm just sanding off the edges because you can sand down this sticky paper too. See how well that comes off? I'm going to use some of this tint. And y'all, the tint that I have comes from plaidfabric.com. I got a gray one and then one that I think it's walnut. And I'm very pleased with them. They dry fast and they're not oily, so they're not like the antiquing wax texture. They're like a paint texture. Actually they're thinner and they dry so fast. All right, now I got to put the frame back on, or the roof back on. Just trying to make sure that it matches up, and if it doesn't, I'll sand it down or cut it at the right angle so that it fits. This is one of those things pretty common at Dollar Tree too. The pieces aren't necessarily square, so watch out for that. And then some hot glue will put this back in place. Hot glue for me is just the quickest way to do it. Gorilla hot glue is very helpful because it holds things in place for a long time. And that is helpful to me. It also, the hot glue clings really quickly, so that we can get a nice finished project done. I can get the video edited and get it out to y'all. These poppets, love these. This one page that I have had, and I got it at the thrift store, but you know you can get those pretty much anywhere. Those elevated foam adhesive things. They are so great to give dimension in projects. They make things just pop up without you having to add a bunch of paint or shading to them. It gives it more of a 3D look. And that's just a look that I really like, and I always have enjoyed that look. But you could certainly put things on flat. Now, the fact that this is rather concave in places on the back, you don't have a lot of surface to put your glue and get a good catch on your project. But this works pretty good. And even though he's metal, this works fine, and this project is still together in one piece. It's not apart at all. He's still looking good and going strong. And he's decorating his house now, so we got to give him some decor for the outside of his house. He's going to put his heart wreath up on the door when he's finished. And it looks like I'm cutting these down into 2-inch squares. And then I'll be cutting these into triangle pieces. Now remember this, you can do this anytime if you want to make a little banner, like a mini banner for your tier tray. These work so well. And you can save scraps of ribbon also. Once you get those cut and the first triangle, go ahead and cut them again to make 4 triangles out of 1 2-inch piece of ribbon. Not bad. That's really saving money. Then further cut it down into more pieces. It depends on the scale of your project, really. So where do we want to hang this? We could do it side to side. We could do it a little slanted. You know, I don't like to do things predictably, so we're going to do it at a slant. It's hot outside in July, so maybe he went in for a glass of iced tea and the sign started to fall. Who knows? Maybe he did not use the right adhesive. Who knows? So I'm going to just use a very thin line of glue on the back to attach this down to the string. And I'm putting it kind of straight up to the string so that it appears as though it's hanging off of it rather than floating above or below it. Just kind of, I take a little dot and kind of smear it down, and that thins it out so the glue isn't so bulky and it doesn't squish out when you put it down on the project. All of these little things, you know, taking these all one at a time, they do make a difference in your projects. They do make a difference in the results that you have and whether or not it looks high-end. So there's his little banner, pennant, flag, hanging, whatever, on his house, and it is pretty and it is patriotic, just the way he likes it. And by all means, if you do not live in the United States and you have a holiday to celebrate your country, use your colors. Use your, you know, if your stores have some type of a thing that's just very personal or very belonging to your country, that your country is known for, why you really love your country, then use those. You know, I told you about my rusticness. He's got to have some trees in his yard. And you know, he's a gnome, so if he's a garden gnome, he actually knows how to plant trees and bushes, right? So I think he's going to plant these little fir trees or pine or whatever this is right outside his house for a little landscaping. But you don't have to use that there. You could also draw windows, paint windows, use some squares and put windows behind your little guy there. You could offset him, you know, and have him standing in front of the door. Whatever way you like it. He lives in the woods, y'all. He's a garden gnome. I guess that's not a bad thing. Now we're going to do some USA wood blocks. When I did this video before, I had somebody comment that the end result that I should have used a capital U, S, and A. And yeah, and I would have if I would have had a capital U, S, and A sticker. But the stickers that I had are the chipwood little ones. You'll see that I used, they were only in the lowercase form. So I used what I had because that's what I always encourage people to do. Use what you have. Alright, so once those are dry, I'm going to cut down some more of this gorgeous ribbon to put in the center of each of these blocks. Just like this. Each one, and they're each a different size because they're stepped down just a little bit. You don't have to do yours that way. You can use, and see the wood that I'm using is just scraps of wood. That's just some leftover plain old lumber. And that's the size of the pieces, so I lucked up when I was digging through that pile. All right, so I've stuck this down with Mod Podge, and I'm sealing off each of my edges with the Mod Podge. These are the letters, and y'all, they only came in the little lowercase, so that's what I used here. I used USA, and I love that it had the silver on the outside. It just looks sparkly and, you know, celebratory. So rather than leaving these loose, we're going to do something to put them together, okay? But let's put these letters down first. I want the letters to be sort of even when you look at them, to be like a straight line, but I don't necessarily have to have them centered in the middle of each of those rectangular pieces that they're on, because then it would not be even. And I don't mind the look of it. I think it looks nice that way. That's just what I had, so that's what I used. And it looks a little bit different, but we all know when you see the letters USA together, you know. You know. All right, so I want them to stay together. I can take some jute and tie around them. So I just took some red and some regular brown jute, make a little bow. You can leave this part off, but you know, I just felt like I needed a little something extra. Or to make a t-shirt that says that, little something extra, because I feel like I am a little something extra sometimes. If y'all are still watching this video and watching me craft and listening to me chatter, I really appreciate you being here. It means a lot to me. It really does. And that my channel is liked for more than just the creations that I make, but that people seem to like my personality. They seem to like my Reba and Dolly voice. I get that a lot, and I do not mind that. That's a compliment. Now, if I made the kind of money they made, that would be something. So popsicle sticks work really great when you were securing things together on the back side, signs and all sorts of things. So I thought they would work here, and they did. So now this is a different way that you can do some type of an embellishment on it. I just decided that bow just got in the way, right? Too big, got in the way, hung in the way of the sign. It was too much. So you can do something different. And if you don't glue it down when you first put it on there, you're just testing it out, then it's easy to take things apart. But how cute is this little bow? And there's just enough thickness that you can pull those little different strands apart and make them so pretty. You could also do this with baker's twine. The red and white baker's twine would be very pretty. And I think Dollar Tree is making more colors of that twine also. I have seen yellow and white, black and white, blue and white, red and white. Also, if you're watching this and you're disturbed by the back of my project not being done, that is not a concern of mine, because these projects are not sold. They are things that I keep in my house. They're fine the way they are. But if you sell projects, be sure you paint or cover the back of your items. That really makes a difference. Here are the items I've done, and I also made the riser that those are sitting on. I also made above there's a wreath, and I will show you how to make that wreath as well. And these are the projects that I made. So I'm using a pizza pan. I'm going to clean it with some rubbing alcohol. I'm going to use a calendar page from Dollar Tree. You're probably not going to find this calendar page if it's from an outdated calendar, right? So don't worry about that. You're not going to find it. Don't have to worry about it. All right. So I'm going to use this wreath to help me trace out how big I need this to be. That's why I laid the wreath in the middle of that pan. I wanted to get an idea of how big I needed my circle to be, so it would fit nicely and so that it would look good in the middle of that pizza pan. Have y'all ever made a pizza pan sign? You can get those from Dollar Tree, and if you pick up a calendar from Dollar Tree, then you save even more money, right? Yeah, good scissors make a difference, y'all. I used some white paint, spray paint for the back, for the front. All around the edges. I didn't want to put it in the middle because why waste it? We're going to put down our sign, so I didn't bother putting anything underneath it. I am going to use my good old glue stick. I love these glue sticks. It is getting close to the end of the school year, so I'm going to remind you, like I have in other videos, if you have grandchildren, nieces, nephews, kids, whatever, that have projects or products from school, like they're, when they get the school list at the beginning of the year, they almost always, my children, have excess. The teachers send it back home. So they send it back home and you can use it. Don't throw that stuff away. Don't have the kids throw it in the trash. Go through that stuff and get those glue sticks out. They might have some decent scissors that you can use, you know. Now I scratched a little bit, so I'm going over it with a metallic white marker. And if you saw me poking it with a pen, I had a couple of little air bubbles that were trapped in there, so I just popped those in and got the air out. I've got some thrifted ribbon and some trim. And I have some now that is red and white too. I really like it. So there's a ruler at the bottom of the table. That's what I used to use for measuring. It made it so easy. Looks like I'm getting about 2 feet of that. And then I'll go with my next ribbon. Y'all can find ribbons. If you don't have a good thrift store, I understand. I hear that a lot from people. You can get ribbon at Dollar Tree now. Lots and lots of ribbon. It might not be, see, different Dollar Trees put their items in different places. So it may be with the craft section, it may be with Crafter Square, it might not. It may be down where the stickers are. It could be where the yarn is. You know, there's more than one section in Dollar Tree that has things you can craft with. So just check the whole store out so you can get acquainted with where they keep the goodies. You know, where are the goodies? So I've decided with this little ribbon in the back, it's stretchy and I really can't use it alone for my purpose. So I'm going to layer it so that this polka dot ribbon looks as though it has a ruffled edge. You can do this with so many different types of ribbons, and I have done this a billion times. That big wreath I'm going to show you is my favorite wreath that I've ever made, and I used that on some, I think it was Dollar Tree ribbon. And we'll get to it though. We'll get to it. All right, so now I'm going to cut another 2 feet, and this is slightly wired. This one is. This is a very easy bow to make if you are a beginner crafter. You can see exactly what I'm doing. You just make an awareness loop and then you squish it down on into the tails, and then it becomes 2 loops in the tails. We will do the same thing here for this one. And I like to use clips to hold my things together. Clips, game changer. Really love these. I use them almost every single project that I do, especially things that have ribbon, right? Definitely. So I want to make it a little bigger. I'm going to add a little more of that red and white, and then I'm using just pipe cleaners to twist it together, and I'm going to dovetail my ends. If there's one thing that I can say to you, if nothing else, that I want you to consider when you are doing your high-end individual made-at-your-own pieces, pay attention to your ribbons on your bows. Fluff bows, they need it. If it requires wired ribbon, use wired ribbon. It holds its form better. Dovetail those ends, cut them at a slant, make it look finished, because those are things that companies do that sell these projects that are high-end. The things that they sell, they're high-end looking, right? So if you want to achieve that same high-end look, then you need to do some of the things that they are doing. Take notice of those types of things. So I'm going to take my snub nose clippers here, or my bull nose clippers or cutters. Everybody asks about those. By the way, you can find something similar in my Amazon store, and that is linked if you're looking for something like that. I love them. So I am just going to take some flowers and some greenery and just put my bow with it and decide, do I want it on the top or the bottom of this little pizza pan sign. I love that print, by the way. Land of the free because of the brave. This would be a very good opportunity to thank those in our country who have protected us and spared our rights, and who have made sacrifices so that we can live the lives that we live and that we can be safe. So the big thank you to everybody. We all do our part, right? We like to be respectful of that. They often don't tell us what they've been through, and those are personal things, you know. Just let them know that you appreciate them and the sacrifices they made. And if you have family that's had soldiers or has soldiers in them, then, you know, let them know that you appreciate them, because it's got to be hard for families. You know, it's got to be hard. Okay, so I am just going to embellish that little bow with the greenery. And I put that little piece of scrap foam down on there because that scrap, although it could be trash bound, you know, ready for garbage, when you put it there, it makes it so much easier for you to attach things down to a pizza pie pan sign, because those signs are metal, and a lot of times glue just pops right off of metal. So you could always use some type of super glue, but you would have to wait a long time for it to dry in between layers when you use as many layers as I tend to use on my projects. So these are just little tail pieces because I wanted to bulk up that bow. So I'm just cutting a few inches, probably 4 inches there, and I'm cutting them in a dovetail. And then I'm going to just squish those together, fold them over, squish them together. You can use a little tie to tie them together. That's how I used to do them, okay? That's what I used to do. Now what I do is just glue the little section in the middle, because you have to flip them. If they're patterned on one side and not on the other, you kind of have to flip them. It's the way that you fold them. But once you get that fold down, they make such a difference in your projects because it really beefs up kind of a wimpy looking bow. You can use a little hot glue when you are beading, stringing beads, or pushing your, you know, maybe you have a sign that's got holes in it and you want to put a different type of jute or cord through it, then be sure that you could either wrap it with a piece of tape if you wanted to, or you could get a little glue, put that glue on there and twist it into a point. Let it cool and you are ready to go. You almost have like a needle-like end for it. It makes it so much easier to do. Yeah, and see, I skipped my pattern in there, but I fixed it, no problem. So then all you have to do is just glue it on. Same thing as we did before. You always have options. Do you see the beads messed up right there? I had to take this apart and fix it. I don't even think I realized it until I had it hung up for the final reveal. I think that's when I noticed it. Isn't that crazy? No, it looks like I fixed it. Yeah, okay, I caught it in time. Good. That kind of stuff dry. Okay, so I've got some cheese graters and they already had foam in them. And I thrifted them. So now I've got some greenery over here and some beautiful flowers and some little segments of ribbon, some ribbon that I thrifted, some little fragments of ribbon from Dollar Tree. So I put little hangers on the back with a little bit of hot glue, a little twist, like a bag twist. It's kind of what it looks like. And I have used this before. So I want to show you, and I am actually the one who put you can see the old glue on the other one over there. I didn't even get it off. That's not very professional, is it? But I knew I was going to cover it, so it's okay. This was back in the early days. So I had to shove some foam in there. You can see the foam where I had used it before. But there's a gap, and I want to fill that gap and not see the foam. So I'm going to use, is it Excelsior? Is that what it's called? Excelsior grass? I'm just going to use this down in there. You can use, Dollar Tree has bags of that brown filler stuff that you can use with gift wrapping. It works good for these projects too because it just looks kind of organic and like you might find it on the ground, you know, like crumpled leaves or something. So I am just using these pieces of greenery, and I got those pieces right there of greenery came from Target on a 90% clearance. That's where they came from, I think. I've got some eucalyptus picks I'm going to put in here. You can see the pattern that I'm using to make these. It's really easy. I'm just going to the corners here. I decided that I wanted to use the side with the bigger holes as the front. And I ended up using these in my kitchen for the 4th of July celebration that we had that year. And I really liked them. They were really pretty. And it was a really pretty look. Not using any hot glue in these makes it easy for you to take this apart. So if this is something you wanted to keep in your house all year long, you know, in your kitchen all year long, you could do that. You could use it all year long. Just pop out that greenery and add different arrangements for the different seasons or holidays. I wanted to cover up, you could still see a little of that green that is underneath there. And I wanted to kind of cover that up. I didn't want all that green showing. So I'm testing out my ribbons here to see what kind of ribbon I want to put and how thick I want, you know, a little accent piece to be. I think this is like one of those ribbons that probably came from Dollar Tree. I think. So when I am putting on ribbons and embellishments like this, I always like to leave the place where they are secured together on the back side. I don't like the seams in the front. I don't like to see the seams. I want it to look finished and neat. So I'm just wrapping this around there. I kind of tucked under the edge so that it'll have a nice little clean finish, and then I'll just glue that down so that it stays where it needs to be. Now I glued the top edge first because you can see that this gets more narrow as it goes down, and in order to get it to fit flush, you have to glue the sections a little bit separately. Kind of pull up slightly in the back so that it will fit around the edge. I hope that made sense, what I was saying. Yeah, that's why I do it like that. So you can add a bow, and I have this red and white ribbon that's really narrow that I can use right in the middle of the thicker red and white. See how the wire just lets you give that dimension? It holds that shape when you fluff it. I really like that about wired ribbon. And it's the best way to make, in my opinion, if you're doing wreaths and stuff like that, is to use something with the wire in it. And it doesn't take something that has really strong wire in it at all. Just a little bit of wire to hold it. By all means, if you would like to subscribe, I would love to have you. Here in the comment sections, we talk a lot. You know, we chat. I read all of my comment, address every comment on a daily basis, but I try within a few days to get back to everybody's comments because I do read them myself. I run my own business. I do everything else myself. And that's important to me. You know, if you take your time to come to my channel and watch my crafts and listen to me chat it up, then I'm going to take the time for sure, at least to comment back to you, because you took the time for me and I'm going to take that time for you. It's like somebody saying hi to you and you don't say hello back. That's just rude, right? That's rude. So I at least want to give you a thumbs up and a heart to let you know that I did read it. I don't just go through there doing it either. I read it first, then I respond. So these are so cute, y'all. Look, they're perfect little towel hangers. And you can use your red and white towels. You can use your special towels that have decor on there. So now this one is going to be a gnome planter. So you see the little gnome right there? Same as the other gnome. Got these little black eye Susans. Love black eye Susans. We see these where I live all the time. I've got a little foam here. I'm going to use, this is a little bag that is sort of fabric and paper, but just use a sandwich bag or one of those lunch bags. That's what they are. And I got some more of this ribbon. There's my gnome, little Dollar Tree gnome. One of the most beautiful clings I have ever seen at Dollar Tree. So crisp, no glitter. You heard me right, no glitter. I'm going to put some little rocks in these little rocks. My son or daughter painted one of the rocks, and the other one was painted by my aunt who passed away in the 1990s, I think. We had a very special day. The day I went to her house, she was sick. She had been diagnosed with cancer. We were sitting outside on her patio, and my babies were playing in the gravel and found some rocks and wanted to draw on the rocks. They were playing with the rocks. My aunt went and got some markers, and we all decorated rocks, and I kept the rock that she decorated. And so now I have it long after she's gone. And don't worry, that rock is no longer in that bundle. I've taken it out. I have it. And I plan to keep it for a long time because it makes me smile when I see it. It reminds me of her and how hard she fought with her cancer. So if that's your journey right now, and you know, maybe you're at home and you can't craft right now, you don't have the energy, you don't feel good, my prayers go out to you, along with some, some healing vibes, some positive thoughts. Please try to keep positive. I know that is very difficult to do, but it makes a difference in the healing process. It makes a difference. It really does. That is my opinion, of course, but prayer and a positive opinion do matter. Okay, so I'm just arranging these down here with the beautiful little fern pieces that I thrifted. And I think that these are such a simple look, but really pretty. And definitely you can find these pieces together in nature, because I find them on the sides of the road all the time. Just like this. I knew that I wanted this to be something I could put on my porch to make it pretty, but I wanted it to look not just like summer. Of course, you could leave it just like this all the time, and then change out just the little pick that goes in it. You could certainly do that. These are some more little thrifted pieces that I found, and it's just like little flyaways. I thought that this would add a little extra something to it, and I really like the look of it. It's woodsy and just rustic. It means enough to me, I'll put it that way, because I really enjoy it, that I've kept it all these years, and it is down in my crafting space, and I still love it and adore it when I see it. So I pulled the back off that stake, and I'm just going to replace it with a little wooden pick, because I don't need that whole entire long piece. I need it to be shorter so that it is in proportion to what we're doing here. And then use a little scrap ribbon to go right over that. Slip it down in there and hold that little wooden piece right in place. And then if he has scratches, if you buy things sometimes at Dollar Tree, they're not necessarily completely perfect when you get them, but you can fix them. I'm just using a black furniture repair marker to go over his boots in those spots that he had been scratched. Because it's metal, right? And it's in there with other metal pieces all squished up, and sometimes they'll scratch against each other and cause a little damage, but we can fix that. I like this red polka dot ribbon too. I think I picked up some orange not long ago, orange polka dot. I hope I did, because I'm thinking that would be really pretty this fall in fall decor. And of course, part of fall is Halloween, right? And every time I get my 4th of July creations out and I start working on 4th of July, I know that right after 4th of July, we're jumping straight into fall. That's how I do it here. I like to be able to get these out to y'all in time that if you are somebody who likes to sell projects, or maybe you like to do handmade gifts for Christmas, well, you need to get an early start to do all that, right? You want to have it completely ready before it is needed. So, this is the way you can do it. Now, I just made some little pieces on here and twisted them around these little sticks. I'm going to use these to go in the arrangement. So just like you use these on wreaths or other types of decoration that you do, you can use these pieces sticking out of your floral arrangements. So all I had to do after the 4th of July was over, or whenever you're done with your patriotic holidays, whichever holiday you want to use it for, because you can do Memorial Day or any day, Veterans Day. You can just remove the little gnome pick and remove these little picks, and then you still have a perfect little summertime arrangement. And really, with it being a cream colored, it could really go into fall. So I'm going to make a little mini sign to put in here. I'm going to use a window cling to do it. I have a little scrap of wood, just a scrap, it's just a little something, and I picked these up at the thrift store too, just little random things. I want to add a little bit of white to this, so I'm just going to take this little brush and kind of take some of the paint off and do a sort of a dry brush on here. I know I'm out of the camera angle, y'all. So I'm being sure to go around the edges really, really well, and then I'm just putting enough on there where it looks kind of older, right? So now I'm going to use some of this craft bond glue. I'm going to try to use this and put it down on here. You can use the glue sticks for this, and that's what I use now. It's just those purple glue sticks when I have them. I used to use Jot from Dollar Tree, but let me tell you, I don't know what happened, if somebody else makes it or if the ingredients changed, but it's real lumpy now when I get it. And it won't be smooth, and I need it to be smooth so that it disappears and it doesn't cause any disturbance in the way that my items cling together, right? And I don't know, maybe I got a bad batch, but it's not to say that I'll never use them, because I have them in my stash, so maybe they have a lifespan, an expiration. I'll have to check on that. Let me know if you know. So since we're going to make the little pick for this sign or for this arrangement, I'm just adding some glue and white paper on the back, and then I'm just going to try to disguise it a little bit, you know, color it in a little bit with a repair marker, a furniture repair marker, so that it blends in a little bit better. In case you were to see the back of it, you don't want it to be, you know, you don't want it to be sloppy looking. So once that is dried on there, I'm going to take some Mod Podge and go all over the top. Did you know that Mod Podge makes a bunch of different formulations? They make matte Mod Podge, the regular Mod Podge, they make outdoor Mod Podge, dishwasher Mod Podge, and I just have it sitting on the corner of one of my pots here so that you can see it. So we're going to go on to another project. We're going to make a USA sign. I'm just using a variety of gorgeous ribbons, and we're going to go back to those clings that we used from Dollar Tree before. We have this little piece. This looks like somebody did their own little DIY with it from Dollar Tree, and we're going to use it again. So if you can't get it off and it's real flush, just use something really narrow to go underneath, and usually they will just pop up, but just kind of take your time so you don't break it. I have broken a few, so just keep that in mind. They can break. And then you can peel off what's under there, sand it off, you know, flip it over, use the back, whatever you want to do. So because this has little glue pieces on it and paper that is sticking out, I'm going to sand it off. I don't want that under there. I don't want it to look sloppy. So I am going to take all of that off. I chipped it a little bit on the corner. Just going to smear a little hot glue in there, poke it back down. It dries fine. I'm going to trace out some white paper. Now, we could always just use white paint, right? But what if you don't have white paint? Grab some glue. This is just some spray glue. And then put you down some construction paper on top, or some cardboard, or some poster board that you cut down to the right size. And look how fast that is. You don't even have to wait for anything to dry. You can keep going. That's my wood ruler. Before I had my brayers and my little tools for my Cricut, which I didn't have back then. I needed something to flatten things out, and the wooden ruler worked perfect because it didn't scratch anything and it would reach far. You know, it would really press everything out. So there's that purple glue stick we talked about. I'm going to put it all over the back of this window cling, and you want to be sure that you go all the way out to your edges. Most of these clings are clear on the edge or have a different design or color on the edge. Be sure that you get all the way past the edge, and don't worry about the purple because it will disappear. You just press that down, press that out gently so that it doesn't slide, because sometimes if you go overboard with the glue, it'll slide. I wanted to incorporate these beautiful little stars. They look like tin or like a metal star. I wanted to put these on here too, so we'll do the same thing here. A little bit of the glue stick and then put it into place. You don't have to use, if you use paper, you do need to use glue, but if you use glass, a glass jar or something, you can just wrap it around there if it's flat, and you don't even have to glue it. You can take it off and use it again. I'm really stressing that you save money wherever you can. Right around where the edges are kind of scratched or a different color, I can repair that with a furniture repair marker. You can get these in packs of 3 at Dollar Tree. There are 2 different color selections, and I have both. And I use them for a lot of things. I'm going to just put this border right on back down on here to give it some edging. This is also a time where I had an old table that I was using for crafting. That table has a piece of foam board with wallpaper wrapped around it. That's what you're looking at, that top piece. I had to do that because the card table that I use had a hole right in the center section where it folds. It's one of those like rectangular white ones. It's got like a hard plastic on top, and it had a crack and broke, and there was a hole, and every time I would do anything, it would dip. I would dip down into that hole. It was ridiculous. So I just repaired that by just making a little removable tabletop that I could put on top of my space so that it looked pretty and neat and was functional. Heck, you could even use some of that really pretty paper that you get. I think it's like shelf liner or something that you get at the Dollar Tree. Just an idea. Or the little wallpaper pieces like we used in a previous project. You could do that too. That would be really nice. So I trimmed it out with a little bit of rope. I think that gave it a little bit more of a rustic look. Nautical thing would be appropriate, I think. And then I'm just going to start thinking about a bow that I want to put on here. This blue polka dot ribbon is so pretty. I don't think I have any more of this left. I'm not the crafter who goes through a season and then donates everything they don't use. I save a lot of things and I put them in boxes with the appropriate labels like 4th of July or summer or fall, Halloween, Valentine's Day, Christmas. You know, I put them in boxes like that, and if it's something that I just decided, maybe I tried the ribbon and I just didn't like the weight of the ribbon, or it frayed a lot or whatever, those are the things that I'll just redonate. I'll just throw them in a bag to redonate, and every time it's in between seasons and I'm changing out my items that are in the room, I get out the new stuff that's coming up, start working on, and I put the other seasons or holidays away so that it is not in my way and I can focus on what it is that I am doing. You might consider that, you know, especially if it's a matter of your room is so full and so junky that you don't know what to do because you can't even see the top of your table. Consider finding some type of organization that works for you. Pinterest has tons and tons of ideas that surely something would fit your style of organizing, and even some extremely budget-friendly ideas like using boxes and cover them in wallpaper, like diaper boxes and things like that. Those are really great ways to save your money. You can find channels also on YouTube that tell you all about craft room organization. Great tips. You know, just use the ones that fit for you and just, you know, ignore the rest of it, right? So I've got this little fat squatty bow. It's got more loop than tail, and I don't mind that at all. I think it looks cute on this. This is certainly not something you would have to put a bow on, but you know, I live in the South and we like our bows for the most part. So I'm using another clamp up there. That one is a laundry clamp. I think it came in like the laundry section, in other words, of Dollar Tree. And I'm just holding that down right there so I can continue to work. Otherwise, I would have to hold that in place because the thickness of that bow would cause it to spring back off the board. It would push back off the board. Or I'd have to flatten my bow, and I don't want to do that. Who wants a flat bow? This is something that I enjoy doing also. Using a pencil and using those berry vines and kind of twisting them so they're, you know, twisted instead of just straight. It reminded me in this project of like the firecrackers that you shoot in the air and they kind of twist and spin around before they explode. Those things are so fun to watch. They're so fun. And that's what this kind of reminded me of. So I felt like this kind of looked like fireworks. I like the look of it. I'm going to add a little something down in the bottom. Again, this is optional. You don't have to embellish the entire thing, but if you want to, you can. You could always stop at any point with the crafts that I create. You can stop at any point that you feel is enough for you. You do not have to do anything that you see me do on this channel just the way that I do it. This ribbon actually has, I think it has wire in it, so I like cut off the wire edges and I want to fray it just a little bit. So I am pulling out 1 or 2 threads at a time to fray it down a little bit. Then I'm just going to take these two. This almost looks like a little bow tie, doesn't it? Twist that around with some wire. think that's some of that curly wire burlap, I think. And then I'll cover that up in the middle with this little rustic looking piece of polka dot red ribbon. And then you can just trim off that, and you can use that in the corner. And if you don't like a big bow like the ones on top, you could use that bow right there on the top and not do anything in the bottom corner. You could use any type of hanger you want to use. You could put some type of a backing on it. You could put some blocks on the back of it so that it will stand rather than hanging. But this is a little hanger that is pretty much my go-to when I am crafting and making signs. Some of them I make longer than other ones. It just depends if I want the hanger to show or if I want the hanger to be hidden behind the project. But I found this one works well, so I use it a lot. But you have to make sure when you use that type of a hanger that the weight is equal, or when you hang it, it will lean toward the heavier side. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Otherwise, you need to use a string that goes from the top corner right to the top corner left, and then you can adjust where you hang it so that it doesn't flop around. So we're going to do another sign. These are scraps of fabric that I thrifted. This is a Dollar Tree hanging sign. It's just the USA letters. This is the back of a puzzle. I'm telling you, you got to think outside the box. And then we have a sign here. It's a tag sign from Dollar Tree. Has been used before. It's got glitter on it. You can use sandpaper to help get rid of the glitter. You can also use some type of a scraper if you want to get some of that off. Because even though it's not on the side that we're necessarily going to be using it on, I don't want any paint smearing around in that glitter. I don't want to get any of my white paint with little dots of glitter in it, because I have a tendency to dip right back into the paint bottle, and I do not want that to happen. So I know I do not want this glitter on here, but did you know that you can get under the edge of these and pull these pieces off? You sure can. Now obviously I'm not going to flip this over and use the back. I guess on some projects you could, but for me I'm not going to do that for this one. I am going to just peel it off, sand it up a little bit, and then I will be painting right on top of this. Okay, so I am just going to sand off this little rough part. I know some people like to go all the way down underneath to that MDF on the bottom. You can go all the way underneath. If you can peel that off all the way, go ahead and do that if that's what you want to do, because this does leave like a papery top part, I guess. It leaves a little bit of texture unless you really sand it down a lot, but you can leave it on there, it won't matter. I am going to use some spray paint on there, and I'm also going to use some spray paint on this one. I love that navy blue. It's so pretty. We are going to be using that to cover this piece. If you have like your board backing and stuff like that, if it's going to be underneath fabric that has any white in it, I like to paint the surface underneath white. You can see through most fabrics, and when you see through the fabric, if you have white underneath, it just makes your white look crisp and it makes it pop. If you were to leave a wooden finish underneath, or a brown, say you used another Dollar Tree sign and you used the back, if you do that, that is going to have a darker appearance to your white, so it'll look a little muddier. It won't be as bright. And I like my white to be very crisp. You also don't have to trim it down like I just did, but I like to do that. Okay, so I've got my white tag underneath, and I'm going to put that board on top. My pattern's a little messed up. I've learned since then how to make sure that your pattern is straight, but back then I didn't know what to do. You know, you work with what you have until you learn better. Then I'm going to take some of this burlap. One year, I think I paid $1 a piece for the rolls, and I got like 6 rolls probably. So I'm just going to pull out the little strands here, and that gives me a nice clean line, and then I can cut on that. And I'm just kind of fraying off my edges a little bit. You know, the weave is loose in burlap, so you can kind of manipulate it a little bit, just like you see me doing, so that it is straight and not kind of wonky or to the side. So I wanted to go back over and roughen it up a little bit, and all I'm doing is taking my sanding block here and going over the edge and kind of going down and outward like I would when I am going around a finished project that has a little bit of paper hanging off the edge and you want to get that nice and clean. Same process, downward and outward. Now, had I known about the emery board trick back then, I would have used an emery board here, but I didn't, so I just folded some sandpaper and just put that in there to get into those little hidden areas. So now that I have all of these ready, I can place these down how I want them on the sign. And I think that is a really nice look. What I'm doing here is just cutting off some foam board risers, I guess, to kind of hold it up a little bit above the U and the A. I want this to be elevated just a little bit. You can use those little adhesive foam dots or blocks that you can get at Dollar Tree that would do the same thing. And then I'll start gluing these letters down. By the way, I did the U and the A also the same way that I did the S. It's kind of sanded around all the edges. If you don't like them being all white, you could use something different. You could paint them. You could Mod Podge something over them. You could use tissue paper on them. And now I'm just going to put these down. Okay, y'all, if you're still watching, if you're still with me, leave me a flag. It doesn't matter to me what flag it is. It can be your own personal country flag. It could be my flag. Now, these little things I bought at Dirt Cheap. They are made to be used on the spokes of bicycles. But I've cut the back off of them so they will be flat. And you can use buttons for this. You could use stickers for this. I like to use things that have a little dimension. I like to mix up the media that I use. So some things are going to be paper, some are going to be fabric, some are plastic. You know, gives it some texture, and I like that. I like the idea of these being lined up. Y'all got to excuse me. I've been talking for an hour and 17 minutes and I am getting a little bit parched here. So to further embellish it, I'm just going to add some extra stars on the letters. You can see how that looks. Now I'm going to put some globs of glue in there so that I can stick these two together. Trying to make sure that it's centered on the tag sign that's underneath it. And I'm going to use clamps to hold it in place. Now these are just the regular kind of stationary clamps that you use, you know, like in an office or whatever. Use what you got. And they certainly work on these flatter projects, let me tell you. So the next part, we're going to make a tassel. I'm going to cut those into little, all I'm doing is nicking the edge, and then I'm just pulling off the strips. You just nick the edge of the fabric, and I know I'm completely out of camera range, but take my word for it. See there? There we go. And the pattern is not going to be exact. It's going to be, you know, it's printed, so it's not a woven fabric. It's going to be what it is. It's not going to be a perfect pattern, but in a tassel, you're not even going to notice that. You really are not. So I took those pieces and cut those in half, and now I am bundling those all up in my hand. Just using some jute to go around the middle part of it. Gonna tie it nice and tight. And I'm going to tie it in a few knots because I do not want this to come apart at all. You can trim it off. Then look at that little pretty thing. I'm just going to pull it all down now. Cut off a long length. I think I probably have a foot of jute down there that I have not used yet. And then I'm going to use another piece of jute and go around about an inch, maybe half inch to an inch down to make the little head part, or the top part of the tassel, I guess you could say. You can make tassels many different ways, so however you prefer to make your tassel, you can do it that way. And then I'm just going to wrap, and that'll make a little division there. I'm adding some hot glue to hold that little thing in place. And that's to keep from burning my fingers. How about that? It also is used to tuck right down in there so that you won't even see the edge. Now all you have to do is cut off your frayed edges, your little, well, I say frayed edges, but you know, the longer pieces, and then cut off any little strings that might be in there. Unless you like the look of that, then you can certainly leave it. You can cut them at slants, you can leave them as they are. whatever you like. Please don't think when you craft that because your project doesn't look like somebody else's that it's not good enough. Do not judge your creativity against anybody else's creativity, because we're not the same. You know, that's why you see so many different styles when you go in stores. You know, you see different styles, you see people gravitating toward different things. It's because we're all different. And it's about time we start celebrating our differences rather than arguing and fighting, right? Over who's right. Let's not do that anymore. Let's not do that. If we could just erase that from the world, can you imagine how much nicer of a place that would be? I'm just going to add a little bit of glue on the back of mine because I don't want it to be flopping all over the place. We want it to appear as though it's hanging, even though really it's glued on there too. This is another piece that I tore off, and we're going to use that as our edge. You see this sign I've used before in a different project. That's why it has doilies on the back. To finish this project, all you got to do is cut craft paper, which you can get at Dollar Tree, and then put right over the back. You can hot glue it or tape it down. You can actually use a short stapler if you wanted to do that, so that it is covered and nobody will see it. And this way you can hang it on maybe a glass door, or give it away, or sell it. Loved this project. I love the results of this project so very much. Thanks to all my subscribers, as I was saying. I hope that you are finding inspiration in this video. Okay, so now we're working on my favorite wreath. It's not a hard one to make. Please do not confuse difficulty with the time it takes to do something. When you watch my projects, there's a lot that goes into it, but that doesn't make it hard to do. And besides, we can do hard things. Can't we do hard things? We can. It is a Dollar Tree piece. It's a Dollar Tree wreath. So once we go around the middle rung, this is only 3 rungs on this. Some of them have 4, but for this one, there's 3. So I'm going to go around the centers of each of those little crossbars, and then I'm going to go around the outer 2 rings in every little section with my pipe cleaners, because pipe cleaners make my wreath making so much better. I also like to try to match whatever pipe cleaner I'm using to the fabric, the material, the wreath, the whatever that I'm doing on a project. If I was doing mostly greenery, I would prefer to use a green, in other words. So we're going to have a lot of red, white, and blue in here, so we're going to be using the red. Plus, for video recording purposes and then showing you what I'm doing, if I use a vibrant color, it's a little bit easier for people to follow. So this is thrifted. This is a scrap. It is over 18 inches long, and I have no idea how many feet are on here. No clue, because it's just a segment. I was on a wing and a prayer with this one because I didn't know if I would have enough to go all the way around this wreath. But I went with it. You'll see. Stay tuned, because you'll see what we do when we run out. Alright, so I'm just going to start on one of the center sections. It really doesn't matter which one. I'm using I've kind of gathered it up in my hands, and I'm going to tuck it in between the bottom so it goes toward the back. Then we're going to start making little poofs. This is a wide section, so it takes a little bit more to get the poof in your hand, but you can do it. I think I might have used 10-inch sections. I'm not sure. I'll have to see when I get the ruler back up there, but I usually do 8, 9, 10 inches. That's usually a good one. You know, pretty much what I do for my poofs. Then I'm going to go to the outside, then I'll go back to the inside or the top, make another poof, and we're just going to go back and forth like a zigzag. And then see there, now I'm in the center again, and then I'll go back to the middle. Some people tell me that that follow me on this channel, they tell me that they don't like deco mesh. I have mixed feelings about deco mesh. A good quality deco mesh like the one I'm using right now, it doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles. It doesn't have a lot of brightness. It doesn't have a lot of crazy tinsel running through it, except for the blue here. You see that I ran out. I had to switch over to this blue. So, and it is also a scrap, so I'm not sure how much it was. But I'm just going to go right underneath it, attach them together where it overlaps right there, and then do the same process all the way around. I feel like sometimes with deco mesh, it can kind of, I'm trying to be gentle how I say this, cheapen the look. And I'm definitely not saying everybody's deco mesh wreaths look cheap. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in my experience, when I have used deco mesh wreath, sometimes when I look at it, I go, no, I don't like that. And I'll use something like burlap ribbon or things like that to kind of get the look that I'm going for. But you can use those together or you can use them interchangeably. If you can get a good one, like that red one, it doesn't have any glitter or anything in it. This blue one does. The blue one I don't love as much, but because I know I'm going to be putting other things that will soften that look over it, then I'm okay with it. So if that makes sense to you, just kind of consider that you can layer it in there and it does give a little something extra to your wreath. But again, you know, you have to do what you like and find, if you work with a cheap quality and it's fraying and it is falling apart in your hands and you're not getting enough on the roll and that sort of thing, that's very frustrating, and I by no means want to have anything to do with that. Now I'm just going to go back over this blue, crisscrossing it back over because I want it to be covering up underneath a little bit better, and I want it to be a little fuller looking because that red and white is really full. And I think that this blue is maybe might have been a 10-inch roll, which can explain why it is not as thick looking as the red and white. So, you know, keep that in mind. If you feel like it's too thin and you can still see your wreath form underneath, then maybe double it up. Maybe put 2 rolls together and use it that way. I have certainly done it like that before. And then you can tuck under and wrap around like your edges. You know, you don't want that in the front, especially deco mesh. Sometimes with the burlap, when you make a wreath, you can cut off a section of it and it's still, you know, it adds to the wreath. It doesn't take anything away from it. But I certainly don't want to see raggedy edges of deco mesh. So I'm poofing this little cuteness out here. Got to get all those poofs kind of opened up and spread apart. So this is red, white, and blue. And, you know, don't leave yet. Don't leave yet, because it does get better. I doubted it too when I was making this wreath, but I was like, there's got to be some redemption here. So I grabbed my burlap that I got at Walmart on clearance out of that same bunch that I used in the previous project, and I'm going to make little poofs with this. Okay, so I just zigzagged that back and forth all over the entire wreath, and I'm going to tuck that down. And now you also want to fluff out that burlap. You can see that there's like a pattern that is forming here where we have the burlap on the outside, now the burlap's on the inside. You're going to pull those apart, outside, inside, all the way around the wreath. And it looks like it is just woven through there. And this is how it looks so far. I can work with that. Makes a pretty good base. I am trying to remember. I think that this ribbon has wire in it, but I'm not entirely sure. You can cut off your pieces and then dovetail the ends of them, or you can cut them at a slant. You can do 10-inch pieces or you can do 12-inch pieces. Whatever you prefer. Look at this beautiful trim that I found at the thrift store. This is from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to show you how you can bulk it up. Now remember what we did on the other project with the blue checkered ribbon? Well, if you have a bow, or if you have some trim, in other words, that doesn't have any wire in it, or it is just plain trim, and it's not the right type of material that you can make a bow out of, or a bow that will hold some structure, you can overlay your pretty ribbon on top of some cheaper ribbon that does have wire. So this Dollar Tree ribbon is beautiful as it is, but I had many rolls of this that I have not used, and it would make a great backer for this beautiful trim that I definitely wanted to put in this wreath. I'm going to use 9 inches of this, clip, clip, and then I am going to dovetail it. We're going to use it just like we would a regular ribbon. Now it has all the body that it needs to stand on its own. Check that out. Look at that. Now it looks wired. Ah, love it. And we'll just continue along and do the same thing. Cut those pieces and dovetail them. Now we've got pieces ready to put our wreath together. This is my go-to wreath making ribbon stack technique. I do this all the time. I am not a professional wreath maker. I am not telling you that the way I do it is exactly the right way. I'm not doing that. There are plenty of people on YouTube who all they do is wreaths, and they do an amazing job. I just kind of go with my gut on things, and I do what looks pretty to me and what brings me joy. So that's why I kind of use this technique, because you find something that works, you want to use what works, right? So this works for me. And I feel like if you can get a hang of one style and you get really confident in it, then maybe branch out and try some different techniques. Look how beautiful that little bunch is. Very patriotic to me. You got a mixture of patterns and sizes here that really gives that texture and all that beautiful color that represents our country. So I'll be continuing along, and every section that has pipe cleaners on it, I believe I put these stacks on. I might have gone right down the top with it, but I think I do every one. Yes, I do. I'm looking right now, and I do every section. So every place you have pipe cleaners, you will put down your little stack. Now with this wreath, this is patriotic, but I want you to think outside of the box. You can use this style for any holiday you wanted to. Do this for your country. Go back around to the last bunch. And just like bows, you have to fluff out the ribbon stacks. You fluff everything. Make sure that everything is in place like it should be, and everything is pretty. You see right now how everything is kind of squished together, and it really does not look amazing. After we cut off these pieces of our pipe cleaners here, you will begin to fluff out every single piece of ribbon that you just put down. The fluffing just really makes a difference. Christmas trees too, y'all. I know we're way off from Christmas, but just like you fluff your Christmas tree, you don't just take it straight out of the box, throw it in a stand and turn the lights on. No, you've got to fluff those branches. You've got to form them. You've got to make them really realize their potential, right? Really make them look gorgeous. What I ended up, it grew on me, because the whole thing, you've got blue on one side and you've got the red and white. It's almost like the flag, right? So we're going to embellish it now. You can use metal stars. You could put something in the center. You can put something off to the side. Just anything, little figurines that you have. All right, so here is that trim again. We're going to do a really simple bow with that trim. I'm not going to make this bow really big, because if you make it really big, it's going to be way too floppy. This does not have a backing on it. It's just a floppy bow. And I'm okay with it being floppy in the bow, just not in the ribbon stacks. Then we're going to make a bow with this one. And the texture of this ribbon, yes, it does have some wire in it. The texture of this ribbon is like almost like a linen type blend, cotton and linen maybe. Tie those up. These really are the easiest bows. Don't be intimidated by bow making. It just takes a little bit of practice, and really it doesn't take much practice to do them like this. This is like the simplest bow I think you can make. You just got to find a place to start and get going, just get going. I'm going to layer those together so this looks like one bow. And you can just tie it with the ribbon that is left there. You could just use one piece of ribbon, but I'll tell you, when you're making a bow for a wreath this large and this bulky, if you make too small of a bow, it's going to disappear in the wreath. You've really got to do something in a big statement piece like this to make it stand out so that it matches the fullness and the quality of the rest of the wreath that's underneath it. So now we have a big bow. We leave the tails long until we get it on, so we know how short we want to cut it. And then you can decide exactly where you want to put that bow. Since I split my colors here, I'm going to go right in between that blue and that red, down into the wreath form, and tie on that bow. I am not one for gluing a bow on. I don't feel like it's very sturdy that way. I would prefer to wire them down or tie them onto the frame so we know they're not going anywhere. So when you tie that down into the frame, it's going to pull that bow down pretty low into the frame. So make sure that your bow is big enough that you have enough on the outside to fluff without the bow being, you know, scrunched all down in there. You can see that the loops in the bows are a little graduated, so meaning that the longest one is underneath and the shortest one's on top. That way you can really see it. And then you can trim up the ends any way that you like. So then make sure you fluff your bow and decide where you want your embellishment. So I'm going to wire this down, it looks like. I'm going to twist that on there. Be careful, if you twist them too tight, sometimes they'll pop out. Like the hanger will pop completely off. I have done that before. I like to edit those things out so you don't have to be bored by it. So down around that bow and into the bottom, just twist that around. I don't pull that one all the way tight to the frame because it would have it misfigured. The top would be buried down and the bottom would be sticking out. I don't want that to happen. I just want it secured but not squished. So I'm just going to pull it up this way. You could also just use some hot glue and glue that down to the bottom of the bow if you wanted to. Just like that. Alright, no worries about not seeing the entire project because you'll see most of them at the end. Now we are working on a swag. We're going to use a little deco mesh, some more of that burlap, some ties, and then look at this beautiful piece. That one came from the thrift store, and then some more of that thrifted red ribbon. I'm loving this ribbon. You can tell I've used it on a couple of projects now, and I think that if you stay kind of consistent in the materials that you use to make projects for one time, like a specific holiday, then all of the things are going to coordinate together when you put them in your house. You know, you're not making a bunch of random stuff, which is fine if you like eclectic. But if you like something that has a little rhyme, a little reason to it, then you can do, you know, try to have something that is consistent throughout the styles that you do. I try to do that for y'all in my videos when I'm making things. I try to use things that are similar enough that you could do them at one time, that you could use them all together. That's why you see like 3 or 5 of my projects, and in the end screen, they all kind of matchy-matchy, I guess. They're similar enough that you could put them in a room together and everything looks like it was intended to be together. So I'm just using this white underneath, and I'm going around with my little ties, and you can see everything that I just did underneath. I don't think I have to explain it to you. I think you know. But by all means, if you have questions in this video, leave them in the comments section. If there's anything that I didn't say or that you didn't understand, put it in the comments and I will be happy to get back with you. Plus, you can find these videos, the original ones, in playlists on my channel page, so feel free to look there if you want to watch the entire thing. We're going to go with these stacks. It looks like 9-inch pieces. So let's see what we're going to do with these. 3 pieces, okay? So these are the 3 ones that we're using. Same little technique. You can change up the look of them by lengthening or shortening the length of the ribbon by either cutting in dovetails or slants and using different, let's see, I would say widths of the ribbon. So some 2-inch, some 1-inch, maybe some trim. You know, you can kind of change them up by doing that. You can also change the way that you stack your ribbons, although I have to say that I prefer wired ribbons on the bottom because they give a better shape, and then the other ribbons will kind of lay into that shape, than putting wired on top, because the ones that don't have wire will lay flat. And I don't want that. I don't want the flat look, you know? Not for wreaths and things. So once you have those all in there, this is how that's going to look. Very cute. Where would you use this swag? Possibly above a door, maybe your entry into your home. Maybe you have a short wall and you can hang it long ways. Maybe you have a glass door and you want to do 2 of these, one on each of your doors. You can use these on your porch. You know, you can use these swags in the middle of your table if you want to use it as a centerpiece. Certainly up to you. You can get more than one use out of it. So this is how it looks so far. Nice and bulky, and all I used is a scrap of wood to put these on. You can also use a yardstick to do this. Definitely. Now, here's some options for you if you want to embellish. This is way too big. You can use metal pieces from Dollar Tree. You can use little flags. You can use red, white, and blue ornaments. You can use some of those small Christmas ornaments that are red, white, and blue. Whatever you want to use here, you can definitely use here. So I have a little strip of this white, and I have this stripe over here, and some plaid. Another way you can save money is if, see, all those ribbons could have been found in a Christmas section somewhere, right? So after clearance, when everything is 75, 90% off, go and grab it. Think of all the holidays where you can actually use red and white. You know, those holidays that Christmas, 4th of July, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Valentine's Day. If you use red in any of your Halloween decor, you can use it for that too. Lots of options. Always want to save money. Okay, so now we're working on the bow, and that is my bow maker. I did make that bow maker. I have a video where you can watch that. You can easily find that on my channel. And I'm going to start making a pretty bow for this. I'm just going to layer this on here. You can see exactly what I'm doing. If you have a ribbon that is patterned on one side and not on the other side, you can give it a twist and that will get it in the right direction. Because you want to make sure that you always have your pretty side up. So with this ribbon, it does have the same color on the front and the back, so it's the same pattern, but the stitching is a little bit different. So all I'm doing is flipping it over so that the stitching is in the same direction for the entire bow. Now I'm just pressing that down in there to make it nice and flat. You can use a pipe cleaner, a floral wire, you can use, you know, just whatever you have to tie them together. I'm just using jute. I always have jute left. I take it off of Dollar Tree signs all the time. I have a jar that I keep those in, so I'm constantly recycling the jute off of other things. They make great hangers. They're great for tying bows together. Now, I don't encourage anybody to be a hoarder, but by all means, if you are a crafter and you are using it, then you're not hoarding it, you're actually using it. So there is a difference. And some things never go out. Rubber bands never go out, pipe cleaners, what else? Super glue. I guess some super glue. I have had Gorilla Glue to go bad on me before. You know, when it becomes solid in the tube. Ugh, that's a mess. And it's heartbreaking too, because that's really good glue and it is not inexpensive. That's an investment. So I'm going to go down to that stick that is underneath there. And by the way, that stick just came from the thrift store. So there's the beauty of wired ribbon. That stuff will stick up. It will go right where you want it to go. And just look at the quality. That bow is just standing up there looking amazing. I'm going to dovetail it. I'm going to cut a couple of pieces a little bit shorter. This just gives a little more flyaway to the bow. It gives a little difference, you know, where everything is not the same. All right, I had a couple of pieces left of this. Oh, right in the middle of this bow, I'm going to add a little bit of the ribbon with the stars on it, okay? So I just cut that one piece in half and crossed it over to look like 2 pieces. Then I'm going to add an embellishment. This is the one that I put on there, although, you know, when you look at this through the camera, that red does not look like the right color for this, the red that's under it. But as I was doing the project, it looked good together. So take that into consideration. Plus it's tied on, it's not glued on, so you can always cut that off and add something else. Here's some stars. You could add here and there all over. You could paint them. You could color them with acrylic markers. I have a necklace that I got at the thrift store, and I'm just cut that apart, and I'm going to empty my beads into a little tin, and I'm going to take the flags and use those in this project. So I'm just going to add them here and there, putting some hot glue on the back. It looks like I am putting these in the middle of the ribbon stack, kind of back and forth. You could find some type of beaded necklace like this at the Dollar Tree that's got some things on it that will match whatever pattern or style that you're doing. But this is just festive to me. Now, because I positioned the bow at the top, this will be hanging up and down. You know, this one looks better, right? This one's from Dollar Tree. So I'm going to glue this one on because this is exactly what I want to go here. I don't want it to move, so I'm keeping it in place there. Give it time to dry. But yeah, as I was saying, that bow, if you wanted this to hang across instead, like across the top of a door, then you put your bow in the middle of it, right? And turn your embellishments to the side. So remember the cord that we used to tie down the bow? We're going to use that same piece to make a little hanger. Simple, simple. We tied it underneath that piece of pipe cleaner so it will not slip off. This one is super easy, and you could actually, other than this being a star, you could actually have this up in your house all year long if you wanted to. There are some options here. So we got this little, and I thrifted that little wicker, or it's not wicker, it's the little vine star. I knew I wanted to use it for something. I do not want it to blend in with the wall behind it necessarily, and I want to see a more patriotic color. So this is like a cream color and it's got some stars on it. Stars probably are not going to be that noticeable unless you're up close to it, but the color of it I think will be a little bit better for what I'm going for. Traced it, I'm going to cut it out so that it will fit on the back of my piece. Now see, there's a difference too. Now when I edit, I try to not leave all of that cutting in there because nobody is wondering how to cut. Everybody knows how to do that already. I'm just going to add some hot glue around what is basically the high points or the edges of the back of this star. This would also be pretty at Christmas time, I think. These are little thrifted pieces. I always like to break my picks down into smaller pieces so that I can use them a little bit better. I'm just going to gather in my hands some of the blue and white. I think it's very pretty. I did not have any red, but we are going to bring some red into it shortly. So once I get these in my hand, I'm going to hold them to them tightly and then take some florist wire and just wrap. It's going to make like a little bouquet. I don't want this to poke through that grapevine wreath, and I don't want anybody to see the cheap little stems, so I'm just going to wrap it with a little bit of hot glue and attach it right together. Hot glue hurts. It hurts when it sticks to you if you've ever had that type of a burn, so you don't want that. So avoid it at all costs if you can. So this little splash of red and white on the side I think are perfect. And this looks like a picnic to me. I think it looks exactly like a picnic. So cute. I'm just gluing it together. And then I'll just place it down in there. And the glorious thing is that you can just take that little bouquet out and you can replace it with anything you want later. I could also peel off the back because the glue that I used was not Gorilla Glue. It was actually the cheap silicone kind. So you can get it cold and it'll pop right off. This I got at the thrift store. It did not have the lights in it. So I guess that's why nobody else wanted it but me. So I'm going to take my paints here and I'm going to fix it up. I'm going to use a little bit of water and some brown paint. This is a very easy stain to make. You're going to be watering down that paint a lot so you can still see your wood through there. It'd be a little more see-through, I guess, so that would make it a stain rather than a paint. You can still see the wood underneath, and it's kind of a watercolor look. It's a look that I really enjoy all around except the USA. I think you can get these little signs at Hobby Lobby, I think. I don't go in Hobby Lobby that often, mainly for inspiration, because unless I can find something on a steep clearance, I ain't buying it. That was country, wasn't it? I ain't doing it. But I'm not. I'm just not going to. I know my limits, and I'm not doing it. If I can buy something cheaper somewhere else, then I'm going to focus my attention there. So here are some more of those little bicycle spoke decor pieces, and I'm just going to clip those off. They'll come straight off the back. So I need to decorate this, and of course we want to use red, white, and blue. I'm going to take red, and you know, use whatever type of red you like best. If you're into primitive, then you might want to use something that's darker or richer, you know, deeper red. While I'm painting this, I can say that I have lots of playlists, y'all. I know a lot of people say they watch my videos and they stay watching the videos. They're on the video for like, they'll watch my videos all day long. Well, if you don't know, you can watch the playlist so that you don't have to keep searching and searching for videos or stopping and playing and stopping and playing. When you choose to watch a playlist, they just continue to run until it's over with. Just like one long continuous video. So you can definitely go check out my playlists and see if there's anything there that you like. I'm always adding to them, always. So the sides of this were recessed. So they were, you know, in there about the depth of one of those popsicle sticks. They were recessed. I needed them to be even on the sides because I want to wrap this. So I'm just using these, they're like a thicker craft stick, not a popsicle stick, craft stick. And I'll use those to make up the space between the little slats and where I'm going to wrap it with some ribbon. Yes, we're going to wrap this with ribbon. So this ribbon came from burlapfabric.com. This one is a red and white, I think it's a cotton. There's no wire and the edges are kind of frayed and the look is just beautiful. I love the look of it. And that went all the way around our edges and it's nice and flush. It does have a couple, you know, it's not completely glued flat down and that's not what I was going for. I just wanted it on there. I'm going to take some string lights that are thrifted, but you can definitely get yours at the Dollar Tree. To have this much of a look, you're probably going to have two pieces though. This is some of that mounting tape. Some people call it nano tape. But look at this. It's a great way to stick that backing on there, and look at the lights in there. How adorable. Now I don't like that the wire is green. You can see it, but you know, if you can overlap, you can overlook that part. That's a really cool thing. Really cool. So here are some of those projects again to give you another look at the kinds of things that we did today. These are just a few of them. If you like them, I would love for you to subscribe. I have plenty of new patriotic DIYs that will be coming up very, very soon for you to see. I am looking forward to it because I have all kinds of goodies I want to use. Thank you so much for sticking to the end with me. It means the world. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please let me know in the comments that you did so I can take that into consideration. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!